Both sides are genocidal, crazy war criminals. So I think we should all enjoy seeing how they die.
There we go.
The stylish intro to the show.
Yes, that's our Perry Chan like clip that I actually just got right before we started. And I just spoiled the entire show for everybody with Reese Ifans.
You're getting there. He's
Reese Ifans, who wasn't in this episode. Welcome everybody to the House of the Dragon after party, whatever it is. And let's introduce everybody who's here. We start out with the long man Mahler. What's up?
Hello, how you doing? We're just nice to be on the flip side. We're on the happy side of the week.
Yes.
We'll be heading back to the sad side soon enough. But just enjoy it while we're here.
Yes. And we got Ryan. What's up?
What's up? We're back. We're back. Episode 3. A little more Damon action. A little more Caraxes. Weird ass fucking worm body who screams funny. So yeah.
You love it. We all love it.
Everybody loves Caraxes. You can't not.
He's cool.
He's such a weirdo.
He is. We got some phallus.
Yes.
Johnson. Yeah.
We had a massive, hard, raging cock that was getting sucked. That might be a first. Like, we've seen a lot of shit in Game of Thrones, and like we've seen dicks in Game of Thrones. I don't know if we've ever seen just a massive, raging penis getting sucked. That's what we got in this episode. So
breaking boundaries.
Probably a good episode for Shad to miss. We have our alternating Aussies today. We have Fringy. What's up?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me. It's good to talk about House of the Dragon. And now that Smiling Friends has come to an end as well, and we're not getting new episodes probably for another couple of years, this is it for a little while. This show.
I see people in the chat. That dick was kind of unnecessary. Yeah, no shit. Like, so is like implying that a child is getting their head sawed off in another room. Like a lot of this shit is like unnecessary.
Well, yeah,
so that's what
I mean. It's cutting a guy's testicles off and flopping him on a cart. You know.
Yep, he did get that in season 1. This is the thing: how necessary something is can be debated, but I don't really want to spend our time on that.
Tits aren't necessary in this show either.
I think I would argue they are.
I mean, me too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to get technical.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we don't know the titles of these episodes until like 10 minutes after they're done airing. Any guesses?
Say that again.
What the title of the episode?
Oh,
yeah, because the previous one was Rhaenyra the Cruel.
Yeah, Rhaenyra. When we thought it would be something else. Farewell, my brother. Yeah, don't know. We'll find out soon. Slow and boring, says the chat.
Prince it was promised. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
We do know already what the title for the next episode is going to be.
Yes, we do.
And that's a Dance of the Dragons.
Oh, well, apparently the episode does have a name. It is not The Prince That Was Promised. That's actually kind of interesting. The name is The Burning Mill.
Oh,
okay. I mean, we didn't actually show the Burning Mill, but it has ramifications. Yeah. Which is interesting. And that's where we'll start out, because I liked the beginning of this episode quite a bit. Because I like the Blackwoods and the Brackens, the Hatfields and McCoys of Westeros. And they've been fighting forever. And the reason they were fighting is one used to be back in before the Andals. One used to be a kingdom, and the other one basically just raised horses, the other house. And one usurped the other. That's why they're fighting, basically. At least that's the story we're told in A Song of Ice and Fire. But in the beginning, we see a couple of Brackens and Blackwoods go at it, and they actually describe this a lot more in the book, and I'm fine with them just showing what happens afterwards, because that's pretty much what happens. Everybody just gets killed. Now there's still members of both houses left. A lot of kids, a lot of very young kids take over. And so, but we didn't get to see Black Alley. We didn't get to see her. She'll probably come back later. That would be my guess. That would be my guess. But that's the burning of the mill, and that kind of sets things forward. So they're not wrong in the show when they say these two houses fucking hated each other and just wanted an excuse to fight. It just ended up leading probably, well, it's being the first shots fired in the Civil War. So we have a civil war within a civil war. And they were just looking at an excuse. They hate each other anyway.
Yeah, it's like the significant battlefield that would be argued as the first of several battles that this will all be, but it's something that was going to be happening for any excuse.
Yep. And it's something
really important thematically, right? Of just, what's going to cause it is of secondary consequence to just it is happening and it's going to be violent.
And it's just moving some boundary stones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just moved some boundary stones. That's it, for some grass.
Which they did. Yeah. There's all lines for that in season 1. They made very clear that was something that I think even Rhaenyra was like, we should take care of it. It's important. They have a lot of passionate hatred for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we saw their little duel in. Was that at Storm's End where that was happening?
Yeah.
Was it a Baratheon that was leading that as well with her? Yeah, I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ormond
Baratheon. We saw the Blackwoods and Brackens have their little flare up there, and now we see the end result.
Yeah, things are going to shit pretty quick. I actually took notes, just little ones though, in my little book, just so I can keep track of things. I should, I should pull up the episode and we can
that would be great.
It will also be very dangerous when you get to a certain point.
Oh yeah, I'll be careful.
Yeah. Maybe don't show the brothel scene.
We don't have to show it at all. You can just prompt it yourself, right?
Yeah, I won't pull a Gavin on this one. Okay, let's just say that. Let's just say that. All
move
right.
around that scene.
We'll move around that scene. Then we have like the council, and let me get to this.
Well, then. So after you see the dead bodies of just like thousands and thousands of Blackwoods and Brackens, like hosts, like whatever, all of them dead, then you get an opening shot of Criston Cole looking like he's either going to kill someone or himself.
Yes.
Criston Cole is so like, I feel like he's constantly on the verge of having a mental breakdown right now.
Yes.
With the different,
he's completely out of his depth. This is not like he should not be hand. He is not equipped to do
be
that.
The fucking Lord Commander either.
No, it's and it feels like very quickly you get the sense that he is failing on both of those counts.
Oh yeah. The Kingsguard have fallen apart.
The discipline is just like collapsing, and he's not even showing up to these meetings on time.
Are those Kingsguards Aegon's friends from the past few episodes?
Well, regardless of who they belong to and how new they are, they're clearly not. Like, we got 2 instances of them basically realizing that they just don't give a shit.
Yeah, they're leaning up against the wall. They're not professional, nothing. It's all gone to shit. And apparently Aegon just appointed them without, Criston Cole. The reason I said is because they all seem so familiar with Aegon, and I feel like there was a black guy that was part of that group. So I'm pretty sure friends are now the new Kingsguard.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
Because they've lost so many, right?
That's right, because Rhaenyra's got some of them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then the two twins died, obviously.
2 just died. Westerling
retired, right? So they were down to 6 when that happened. And then they were down to what? 3?
Something like that, which plays into why Blood and Cheese happened successfully, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is before the Criston Cole scene, so we have Rhaenys counseling Rhaenyra on the dangers of war and how it could be avoided. And all we can think of is, wow, you could have ended it.
Every scene with her.
So this is the thing. I think we're carrying on the issue of season 1, which it doesn't damage the show significantly. It's just the writers think they're designing something. I'm taking something completely different from a lot of this. Rhaenys' lines throughout all of House of the Dragon have been very ironic. Like, a lot of it is critical of men, while she's one of the greatest destroyers of people in the whole show.
And I'm getting something different from it too, because right now I have seen so far multiple opportunities to end this war with as little bloodshed as possible, that would be Rhaenyra doing anything, right? Instead of just sitting on her hands trying to not have war happen.
Yeah.
Rhaenys wiping out all of the fucking greens right there on the dragon pit. And Alicent, when Otto basically just wanted to go and send people to Dragonstone to fucking kill Rhaenyra and everybody else, and she wouldn't allow it to happen. She made end terms and all this bullshit. Like,
it's I think I get what you mean in terms of the idea that the show is presenting it as being one way, but when you look at the way that the events are playing out, because it seems like the general idea is, well, making all of these rash decisions while everybody's really angry is going to cause problems. But the reality is that's true, but a lot of problems have just been caused by inaction, by not doing anything to bring the conflict to an end.
Yeah, like you could have two things that are true. One is, yes, these emotional rash actions can lead to things, but also this is the world that they exist in. And this is why women don't sit the fucking Iron Throne.
Because they're not experienced in this world. Like when Alicent says, hey, we got to take care of this thing to Larys Strong. And he goes, okay. And he does it in the way that they would do it.
This is present because to sort of bounce off what Ryan was saying, right? We have pretty good examples of Robert Baratheon being like, so the advice and the reasonable thing to do is to kill Daenerys as soon as possible before she eventually raises her dragons, raises her armies, and everyone dies. And then, Ned is like outraged from the honor perspective, but again, reflected with Otto being like, right, take all your king's guard and assassinate basically the entire royal family. Go, go, go. Tywin doing the same with the Targaryens. It's just like these plans, super vicious, but you get to enjoy not having everyone die slowly over many, many decades of just death and destruction, betrayals, backstabbing.
Make for a short show, though. That's the problem. So,
of course, I love it. I think it's interesting storytelling for sure, especially when it's character backed. But I was just going to say, like the thing about it, I think from a viewer's perspective, I worry on behalf of the showrunners because I'm still fine with this. I'm still willing to see how Rhaenyra's sort of journey is going to go. But the end of season 1, it sort of promises a furious Rhaenyra who's going to like get into the game. And so the first 3 episodes, she's sort of, I know she got undercut hardcore by what Damon did. It like made her trip up and be like, well, what the fuck are we doing now? But I think a lot of audience members were hoping to see her be a lot more vicious. And we've had to wait a bit. We might get it though. So, I'm still thinking about it all as a sort of zoomed out picture.
And that's the way we got to think about it, because we can't talk about things that are going to happen after this episode.
Well, I find these sorts of shows, I always find the first half of like all the setup stuff ends up getting much richer on a second watch through.
It does if it leads to something, which it's leading to something. But
and that's how I felt about all of season 1. Like the first time I did a rewatch, like after going through it, I'm like, holy shit! Like virtually every conversation they have in the show means something later. You know what I mean? Which is pretty crazy for it to happen like that.
Yeah, and like we're speaking from the perspective we're into this world. If you're kind of a normie and watching this, and that's not an insult, is it's going to be moving kind of slow, especially this is 8 episodes as opposed to 10. So let's think about the 3rd episode. We had season 1, we had Damon, do his thing and kill the crab
Stepstones.
Yeah. The Battle of the Stepstones. Here it's leading up to something pretty big. If you watch the scenes, it's leading up to something pretty significant. So you'll see next week. I don't want to build it up too much because damn.
Yeah, Jesus Christ! like we built up blood and cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm still fine with it, especially because I haven't seen the whole season. But I could totally see people saying, "Come on, make something happen."
Yeah,
but I suppose it is the difficulty when season 1 was big moments separated by big jumps in time compared to now everything's playing out at a much more conventional pace.
It's been like 6 days, 7 days or something since Viserys died. Like that was Because I think in the last episode, the little behind the scenes, whatever they did, they said that Kristen has only been Lord Commander of the Kingsguard for 5 days. So this shit's
it's happening fast now after all the time jumps. And the rest of the show does not take place over a very long period of time, right? I think
about a year.
Yeah, it's like a year or two. I can't quite help me out with that, chat. But the entire war doesn't last that long. And it's like it's a very different war. You're not going to have a lot of pitch battles. You're not going to have battles of the bastards. You'll have some, but it's going to be a lot of dragon fighting. You know, that's probably why they picked up the series. So we see Sir Kristen Cole, big popular character. Everybody loves him so much that they're telling him they hate his guts on
abusing
Instagram.
the fucking actor. Yeah,
I know, which means he's doing a good job. Shitting his pseudo armor right now as he gets ready to go to the council for the first time, and he's late on his first day as hand. That's never good. But you are the hand
well,
of the king.
If it wasn't clear, he's just panicking.
Yeah, he's just panicking, and they talk about the burning of the mill for one, and what a problem that is. And Aegon's like, fuck it, good. And
no, sorry, go ahead. No, there's gonna be something on top of it.
No, I was just gonna say, even wow, which Lannister is it again?
Tyland
is like, I wouldn't look at that as a victory. Like, there was heavy losses on both sides. I mean, heavy losses, by the way, from what that picture just showed. And no, it's not a victory at all. But they're talking about sending dragons out, and they're still kind of Alicent's there, kind of preaching restraint, which she's not going to get from any of them, especially Aegon. And
the most, like, I think the thing that they're really trying to hammer home in these scenes are, one, when he walks in the Kingsguard, the new Kingsguard members are just leaning up against a wall. They kind of look like shit. They're disheveled. They're not ready or prepared for the job they have to do. And then you get to the council and they're just a mess. They're all kind of fighting and bickering with each other. And you immediately realize that with Otto not there, there's no control.
None.
There's no sense of, hey, this needs to be orderly. We need to get shit done.
Dude, the fucking guy, Master of Laws guy, he's consistently made some really fucking risky remarks.
Iron Rod.
Yeah. It's like, be fucking careful, dude. What I was going to bring up, though, was just the beginning of Cole's scene. I really love the shot of they're burying the two twins, and gives us a full-on POV shot of looking down at them in their grave, and then it cuts to him looking down when he's on the chair. And it's just a really nice way of, it would be on his mind that he just forced those two to kill each other, essentially.
A Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
That's what I mean. He's fucking up in so many different ways, and it's on his mind, which I appreciate. We don't need him to say it. We're shown it, what's going on in his head. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what we really need to see is Kristen Cole is fulfilling his duties as Lord Commander, filling in the pages in the Kingsguard book for Sir Arik and Sir Eric. That's what we should have seen. No, but the scene was actually fucking awesome. I don't know, it's funny because between the last time we were here, he had to shut down his Instagram comments, the actor who plays him.
Yeah.
Because people were just bitching at him about Kristen Cole, which is kind of crazy.
It's really sad. Imagine trying to celebrate with your friends and family about being on this awesome show, and then you've got all these fucking idiots in your comments
who think that you are the character that you play.
Yeah.
Well, the actor who played Joffrey went through that, as you guys mentioned too.
Yeah.
It just seems to happen, and it's so bizarre. It's such unhinged behavior.
You know who ironically probably didn't go through it, or at least it would have been mixed, would have been Ewan, I forget his second name, who played Ramsay Bolton. Because you guys remember there was a fucking a fandom behind him of which I think got him a bit of plot armor throughout Game of Thrones, because he was very much enjoyed. The actor did a great job. But he became the Joker of Westeros. And people were very much interested in keeping him around for as long as they could. Yeah.
Oh, he was fun. Yeah. Too bad we couldn't get that kind of respect for Euron Greyjoy.
Yeah.
Oh well, because he's way more fun. He's way more evil.
Wouldn't it be cool to see him in like all Valyrian steel armor?
Yes, which we see this episode. I don't think they mention it's Aegon the Conqueror's Valyrian steel armor, but that was interesting to see.
They did say that.
No, they said it in this episode, but they don't say it in A Song of Ice and Fire when that's a sample chapter. So it's from the Winds of Winter. It's not from anything else. It's from a sample chapter. The Forsaken, which is a fucking great chapter, by the way. Probably one of the best chapters George has ever written is The Forsaken. And it's a sample chapter. Go listen to it on many people have read it on including me, I think, on YouTube. So that we get a mention of Sunfire during this. So we know Sunfire's there. I think
we did see him briefly for like 3 seconds in season 1.
Yeah, he's around. There wouldn't be any reason not to assume so. Aegon's dragon.
Yeah, he's also afraid to write it. So that's interesting. But that's a new one. So yeah, they're in total chaos right now. But it's not like Rhaenyra's council's any better. Like her council is complete fucking chaos too.
The impression I got was they don't feel very good about her as a leader.
Yes, they think she's indecisive as shit. Like they have plans. They have things they know they should be doing, things that should happen. Think, hey, we should use our dragons. We should do this. We should do this. And she's like, well, I just feel like waiting. I really think I'll take what you said under advisement and I'll think about it. And then I'll take a little fucking boat trip to King's Landing.
So this is the thing, Ryan, about those comments earlier about Rhaenys. If I didn't know how the writers and creators of the show feel about her as a character, I would have said, it's really interesting how Rhaenys keeps cautioning care and to soften the blow of men who they have their blood and their rage. And that the irony is that she's now making her a shit leader because she's not doing anything. She's so afraid to move forward thanks to Rhaenys' sort of poison in her ear almost. But I don't think I'm supposed to be taking that from the scenes.
Rhaenys is a saboteur who's
she's incompetent and that she's jealous. She never got her chance and she's angry and this is her testing out power and it's not working. It's having bad effects,
She wouldn't have been a great queen. All right. She just wouldn't have been a great queen. But who would be? We got the White Worm, Maseri here. I heard your reaction when we were not watching this, Mahler, when she is confirmed to have warned the castle about the attic, and which means,
well, everything we said last episode, it's not like it's just
what we assumed, right?
We went over it. We assumed
did.
It was that way. The new issue that this is going to be the thread for this episode. There's usually one per episode that I have issues with, and this is going to be the one that's an extension of the prior episode. The White Worm's connection to Rhaenyra is going to facilitate another plot line now that we'll get to later. But I already in this scene was like, ugh. So she's now got a powerful position of influence, and she's probably going to facilitate things in future. All because she happened to spot the retard with his armor coming onto the beach. You know what I mean? Like
with his armor on. Yeah. That just that was and they probably felt like it feels like they really had to work her in. Now she's there in the story and they don't really explain why. So you needed to explain why, but I don't know. I would have thought better of, hey, I'm a Kingsguard who's got a twin, and I'm just going to go there with my fucking armor on. I'm going to be on the boat with my armor on, and nobody's going to notice. Hey, God, there's a Kingsguard sailing from King's Landing to Dragonstone, and there's like a succession problem right now. It's kind of weird.
I know we brought it up before, but it always baffled me in episode 9 of the previous season when Otto explicitly says, don't use your armor, don't get recognized. And then later on, they have someone in their armor escorting Rhaenys, which is supposed to be a secret, in the middle of King's Landing. It's like, what? What? You guys knew. You wrote this. You knew. Like, why did you do this?
So she is now in court. She got it.
Yes. It's just thin. It's weak. It's like flimsy.
but acceptable. We shall.
Yeah, I guess it depends on, like what they do with it, but it is just the way that we got to this point is very flimsy.
Mm-hmm.
So we get Rhaena, and she's going to be sent off to the Eyrie as part of getting Lady Erin's troops. She wanted a dragon. The only thing they can offer are like hatchlings, basically, and some dragon eggs. She's not really down with it at first, but she doesn't have a dragon yet. Maybe she will in the future. We don't know, but she doesn't have a dragon because her dragon, hers got taken basically. So by a very
well, her egg never hatched.
And then she thought that she would just climb right on top of Vhagar, but Aemon sniped it.
Yep, he did.
Sniped it.
Took the initiative.
The Uber
It is interesting, like the nature of how their relationships with the dragons like dramatically influences their station and what they're even able to do, and like how they're going to get moved around in ways that are like positive and negative, even for whether they have a dragon or not. Like you can't necessarily leave this location because it means taking the dragon with you, and then that causes problems. And then of course in her case, it's just you're not really in a position to be like very actively helpful in this conflict, because you don't have a dragon.
She's sending him over with Joffrey. She's going to watch over some of the babes and some of the dragons and dragon eggs.
And send letters to Pentos, right? In the hopes of getting over there for super safety.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now those eggs that we saw.
Yeah.
What do you think about those eggs, Gary?
Well, Mahler brought it up when we were totally not watching it. Those are Daenerys eggs.
Yeah, that's been like a theory for a while, right?
Yes.
That Syrax, that was Syrax's clutch of eggs.
So there you go. You got your Game of Thrones reference in this, and she is off to the Eyrie. So we'll see Lady Aaron at some point. Hopefully we see like, I was like, when we opened up with the Riverlands, I was very happy. I was like, oh, good. We're at a fucking King's Landing in Dragonstone. We're seeing more of Westeros. Even though it was a short scene, I was happy, and we're going to see a lot more. Now, I had mentioned last week, so I have to correct an error, Ryan, because I re-listened to it last night. By the way, again, the burning of the mill is like described more than or almost as much as Blood and Cheese. Like it's like really described a lot. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with the burning of the mill. But for one, Damon was in Harrenhal before Blood and Cheese. He was there already because he had sent his letter from Harrenhal, like there will be justice, But I was wrong because it wasn't Otto Hightower in the book who ordered the rat catchers hang. It was Aegon. It was Otto Hightower who brought in cats afterwards to replace them. Yeah. So I got to correct myself.
Which is a shame they didn't include that.
The thing with the burning of the mill is like it's all characters that we've never fucking heard of before in this show that are like described in detail in that, at least that I can remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, there's deaths. It sets up the succession for the other houses, which is important later because there's other characters coming in, which you can do later, but they kind of set up other characters before that. We could have gotten like the ancestor of Sir Pounce if they brought the cats in, man.
It's really true. Those cats that get brought in are the great grandparents of that cat that Arya was fucking trying to catch.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
And they were being warged in order to lead her to hear a secret conversation down in the depths of.
Yes, they were. We just got to assume. Isn't there a stray dog that comes across? God, I think it was when.
Anytime a fucking animal shows up and happens to lead somebody to something, you just assume they were warged.
There's a stray dog that shows up when Ned is talking to Cersei, I think. But I can't remember now. But so we get Damon at Harrenhal. Finally, we get Harrenhal's not in good shape. Never is in good shape. But it's still one of the biggest, most fortified castles, especially in the Riverlands. God, this is why we got to get Aegon the Conqueror show, just for the fucking Harrenhal scene and Hair in the Black, dude. I need that in my life. But yeah, he shows up on Syraxis and has a sword out. He's expecting a fight. Doesn't get one at all. He gets a black-pilled Castellan.
Well, he gets some guy who's like, hold.
You want some venison?
he finds that one dude and just punches him in the face a couple times.
Yeah.
Throws him away. Fucking opens up the doors. He's like, hello.
Literally feels like if anyone had come in, he'd be like, you're the new ruler. Congratulations.
Hail to the king. Well, yeah. And Damon demands to be called your grace, which tells you what his position is. So that was his answer to Rhaenyra when she asked if you accept me as your queen. Obviously not. Obviously not.
Dude, I love the guy's reaction of just like, why? Okay. Yeah,
sorry to assume.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, he probably should be called that though, right?
Your grace? Well,
if
I was actually going to ask about
the queen
that.
gets called that if they're married to the king.
The guy does.
He's the king consort.
He says you're the king because he seems confused as well. Is it like a matter of can you choose or?
Well, I would like every queen also gets called your grace.
Yeah, I would say
as soon as they're a queen,
it checks out.
So
yeah.
I think that should be his proper like title in theory. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's some kind of commentary on, marrying your fucking your niece or your sister, or, all the inbreeding going on with Targaryens, and the Strongs are that they worship the old gods. They're from the first men. Maybe, probably not though. Probably not, especially with the Castellan and what's left there. So there's nothing there. So he gets the castle, and that's what goes down the books. He gets the castle pretty easily. But we also, I'm gonna jump ahead because I want to jump ahead to those visions because I thought that was probably one of the better parts. He's walking around. Go on.
Just something I appreciate, and I'd asked questions about it in the prior scenes, but I got my answer as to the relationship with Larys Strong. The guy, the Strongs here, see him as the reason for the deaths of Lionel and Harwin, which I like. I think is reasonable, and it means that Larys holds no influence over the Strongs who are here.
No, they would know Larys the best, and they're like, yeah. Do you see this place? It's not really like it burns, really, unless you have a dragon. This place hasn't been on fire since Aegon the Conqueror. We have trouble lighting fires in the summer.
I was kind of waiting for him to just say like there was a whole bunch of suspicious men that wouldn't talk that night.
Yep.
With wearing black cloaks. It was a bit weird.
Yeah, awfully convenient. I should probably get to that part, but yeah, we can wait on the visions. I thought that was. By the way, werewood at Harrenhal. Yes,
we got another scene in front of a weirwood, and like Harrenhal was built. Didn't they chop down a fuck ton of weirwood trees to build Harrenhal?
Yes, they chopped down. Harrenhal was
sacrilege, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like a lot of theories as to Harrenhal is, everyone thinks it's haunted. Ghosts of Harrenhal, like all this shit. And so there's like so many theories behind it. One of them being, well, an entire family line got burnt in it when Aegon the Conqueror burnt down Harrenhal, but also the way it was built, chopping down these kind of sacred trees that are alive, like memories and things like that do live on in the weirwoods. So could what they did there mean that those spirits are kind of haunting Harrenhal? Like all this kind of stuff that there's a bunch of theories about.
By the way, I knew I recognized the actor who plays the Lord in Harrenhal. He's Barrier in Death of Stalin. If you remember, I don't know how many people remember that movie, but it was really good. He's really good at it. I knew I recognized him from somewhere. Apparently, he was in Thor: Love and Thunder as well. But
can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah, I knew him from something.
The production design here was awesome. This was such a cool, this is such a cool place to see.
It made me think of Dark Souls when he was going through the place.
A little bit, yeah, like of this dilapidated, abandoned, like cast in darkness, but like you could imagine its former majesty as a place.
Yeah, a long time ago for a very brief period of time.
Okay.
It was pretty cool for a moment there. Then it got hot.
A moment. Black hair.
Then it got hot. Okay.
Then it got really hot.
Well, what's funny is it's like the stories of these places are set not only in books from what you guys would know, but they're also told as part of like characters, recounting history in stuff like Game of Thrones. The thing is, we don't know how long it is before they make a show about it, and then it's like it becomes a spoiler. It's like, yeah. Because the thing is, everything that happens in this show up until this show was made would have been stuff you'd casually be like, oh yeah, that happened. There's a cool excerpt from, I don't think it's in the show, but in Game of Thrones where Jaime Lannister's talking about Criston Cole and his legacy, and it's just like, ooh.
Well, they talk about this a lot, and there's one of the best lines. I paraphrasing, but Aegon, talks to Black Hair, and what he did was he gave every lord a chance. He's like, hey, you can, bend the knee to me or face the dragon, right? Then Black Heron tells him to fuck off, and he's like, tomorrow your line ends. And he,
they would need to spend a lot of money on that moment. Balerion versus Harrenhal.
And just melting it.
Yeah, it would look so. Have you guys seen Reign of Fire?
Yes. Reign of Fire is awesome.
There's a moment in that would make me think of what it would look like for Harrenhal. And it would be pretty fucking cool.
It'd be pretty cool. So we kind of hear Damon's plans. He's gonna, there's a lot of swords in the Riverlands, even though the Brackens and Blackwood seem to have wiped each other out. They didn't. There's the Tullys and Grover Tully, by the way, and Grover Tully, and there's Elmo Tully too. So to show how much this story,
Oscar the Grouch Tully, and Cookie Monster Tully, so Snuffleupagus Tully.
The Tullys, some of the Tullys were named after fucking Sesame Street characters. That's a real thing. He is he's old. He can barely talk. He can't even, he's shitting his pants. So we'll find out later what kind of happens with them. But Damon's plan is to get a bunch of Riverland swords and march on King's Landing. That's his plan. That's where we get this scene. He's all, the throne. He's all, well, we're gonna go take the throne. He's all, the throne. He's all, yeah, it's a chair made of swords. And not the most Game of Thrones line in the world, but oh well. Then we get
the Damon line though.
it kind of is. It kind of is. It's fine.
Gawain
Hightower. Yeah. Seems to have recovered from getting the shit kicked out of him at the tourney. So yeah, they don't like each other. And he shows up where I gotta get it just right here. Well, that's close enough.
Why does his hair look weird?
He looks
I don't
Roman.
know.
He looks Roman.
Doesn't his hair look? Hold on. I feel like his hair in this scene looks completely different than it looked in the first scene we watched.
I thought that was on purpose.
Yeah.
Like this is his. Yeah. I've done my hair ready for war or something.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe to show time has passed.
Noticeable. It's so noticeable. It just looks way different.
Oh yeah, it's totally different. It's totally, well, if I can get to it. Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah.
Okay. Like when I was watching the first time, I'm like, what the fuck is going on with his hair? But then he pretty quickly like puts a helmet on or whatever after that. So I kind of forgot.
Yeah, that's right. Helmet hair. It's look, all right. You got to account for it.
So they're going to march on the Riverlands and they're going to go take Harrenhal. They're going to get troops from the Crown Lands. I guess they kind of bypass that part. There's, it kind of tells in the book of them going through that a little bit, but I guess it's
something I find kind of neat here, because again, we're so beyond the rest of the scope of the season. I don't know how anything's going to turn out, and these two clearly will have more to do in the next episode. Who knows how much further? But I like that he's already poised against him. Who knows how much Otto would have told him about Cole, and then like being like, my dad got removed and you're here, and doesn't take him very seriously. But by the end of the episode, he's he's completely changed his mind on Cole, which is kind of interesting because he's probably the only person who respects him right now, even though he didn't at the beginning of the episode.
He saved his life.
Yeah, no, and he didn't just save his life. He did it in a way that shows initiative and understanding of the situation. Like he did something smart that Gawain probably should have thought about, and he didn't. And so he's like, shit, yeah, okay, you're right, and that was bad of me. And you know what? You're a cool guy, somewhat, actually.
Can you go back to see Kristen Cole? Yeah, there. I just want to see him. Yeah, right there. That's a good one. Look at his fucking the thing around his neck. That's supposed to be hands, right? So like for the first time, we actually get like a chain for the hand. And I think it's like technically part of his armor. I don't know if it actually comes off or not. But
right, okay.
In the books, that's what it is. It's not the pin like we have in Game of Thrones. It's actually a chain, like a big necklace that you wear, kind of like a maester's chain. That's just a bunch of hands intercircling.
Tyrion has one made.
So. Yeah.
I'm thinking about which one I like more. I think I do like the just the pin.
Am I reading too much into it to have seen it as like first of all, this notion of weight of like, wow, this is a preset thing that exists in case the Lord Commander becomes the hand, and he just is wearing something that special, that legacy related, but also that it's a series of hands around his neck.
Yeah.
I can't help but look at it that way, you know.
I think it's
I think it's meant to be that. Yes.
What was said to him in the scene, right? Of like you've achieved quite a lot considering your humble beginnings. Like he's ascended to become very powerful, but obviously he understands the nature of how that's all come to pass.
Yeah, it's kind of a bad argument for having a commoner become a hand. So do
you think Gawain thinks there's anything suspicious going on between Kristen Cole and Allison?
I wonder how many people in general might be. I don't know if they've given us reason to think it would have gotten out in any way, shape, or form, but it's gone on for a while, presumably. There's a lot of ways it could just be a bit... There's just enough small pieces of information that some people might be suspect of it.
Yeah. Gawain's like, well, I never saw you flirt with your old rotting corpse of a husband that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Viserys.
Oh, and yeah, their little interaction in that scene is so, as far as I'm concerned, well done as representative of their relationship. The fact that he's going to a place where you might just die. This might be the last time they see each other, and she's like, okay, bye. And then he's like, hey, may I have your blessing, your because it's a reference to obviously episode 1, right? The tourney. And then you get this, your favor. You get this sense from her, I think, that she's like, oh, shit, you're right. And you know what? You're not that bad. And then she gives it to him, but then he walks off. And she's like, oh, it's such a clunky relationship where neither of them fully have any idea or understanding of where they stand with each other.
They probably have no idea even like really what they're feeling. Like this is a week into Viserys dying, potential fucking civil. This is basically the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yes.
Right? Like that's what's happening right now is you've got people constantly flying to make sure you don't get attacked. You're worried about attacks coming, and you've got children that are being murdered. You've got your children that are completely fucked up and just crying in separate corners because they don't know how to interact with you and you don't know how to interact with them. There's just so much shit going on right now.
And you can't trust your counsel. Your counsel's in fucking chaos right now. Your brother fucking hates the hand of the king who just replaced his dad. And they're supposed to like defend the throne against the blacks. And they, by the way, they gave the impression in the show, and it's definitely the impression in the book that the Greens like have the upper hand right now because of Vhagar and being in King's Landing and having a lot of swords. So they obviously are not taking Rhaenyra very seriously. They see themselves in the position of strength at this point, and there's no reason they shouldn't. Honestly.
I mean, Team Rhaenyra barely taking Rhaenyra seriously.
Yes, that's this next scene,
this is freaking whoever like ownership is 9/10 of the law or whatever, right? Possession is 9/10 of the law. it doesn't really matter if some person like signed this contract or did this pledge or whatever. If you're sitting there in the Iron Throne with Aegon the Conqueror's crown, with Aegon the Conqueror's sword, with dragons, like
this fucking armor,
you have, with his armor, you are in the dominant position right there.
Yep. What some Nardo talked about when he went to Dragonstone last season, the idea that he has all of the symbols of legitimacy that he can wield, which puts him in a position of power, it's pretty evident, especially even though, whatever problems there are with that council, that's obviously, especially with Otto not there, it's in trouble. But this council is just such a lack of confidence in Rhaenyra.
No, and it's understandable because she hasn't done anything, and we still have Rhaenyra trying to stop a war that already started. Like,
which I guess in a sense is kind of like, seems like it's essentially what's recognized at the end of the episode is you've all kind of been delaying the inevitable here. Like, it's over. And it's almost like these characters are catching up to realizing that conflict is inevitable rather than, well, maybe it can be stopped. Doesn't seem like it.
Like Damon's right.
Yes.
Well, Damon's right about a lot of shit, just often like does dumb things. But Damon's right about Rhaenyra inheriting all of the traits from her father that made him a weak king. And we're like seeing that play out in real time.
So Damon going and getting Harrenhal, pretty big deal. So I was waiting for them to notify the Greens, which they didn't in this episode, because that's a blow. It's going to be a massive blow. Now, do they get swords? Don't know. Well, I do, but like we'll find out. But like right now, like we have this council. They're just like, do something. You have to act now, and not that they're being like incredibly smart. Because by the way, these aren't like top tier lords here. All right, these are what they've scraped from outside of Dragonstone. And
the mighty Celtigars? Are you kidding me?
Mighty Celtigars. Yeah, dude. The Valerians are the only like real house they have on their side right now. But so it's not looking very good. And they're just telling her to do something, and she doesn't do anything. And what's funny is Rhaenys, who was like, all these men are starting the war when she could have ended it. I don't know if you want to talk more about the scene, but the next scene, she talks to Corlys. And she's like, yeah, she's not doing anything. She's not doing shit.
Like,
no, I find Corlys is gonna die.
Rhaenys frustrating, and depending on how his story goes, will depend on how much I find it to be a thorn in my side of enjoying the show.
But yeah, so the council's like, attack, and she's like, not yet. Rhaenys goes back and says, yeah, she's not doing shit. Although I've been telling her not to go to war this whole time too. So, okay.
Do you see that guy, by the way, in the sort of establishing shot of this scene? There's a dude working on like I don't know what they say. It looks like a whetstone, maybe, just in the rain.
Yeah, there he is.
A literal whetstone.
Yeah.
You sip a coffee for the working man out there.
Get the job done. Someone keep him company. Looks like he's working hard.
Those are the people who get screwed in Westeros.
I guess there are a couple other people there. Sorry, what'd you say, Fringy?
I'm just saying he's Bob the Builder.
Yeah,
that's his name.
There are two other guys sitting there too, I guess. Right? Like, kind of next to him.
What are they doing? They're
on a smoke break.
Move the bench close to him. Talk to him about TV shows and stuff.
They like the rain and the mud.
That's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they did. And this is totally normal. I'm just saying, look, he's on his own. Give him a little hang out.
They're complaining about the Mummer show they saw the night before.
Exactly.
That's what they're doing. So yeah, they have boring talk between Corlys.
I want more scenes with Corlys. I'm missing him a little bit. I really enjoy his presence.
I feel the actor's great. It's just we need more him doing and choosing to do things instead of him being a supporting character in other people's scenes.
So that conversation was super important that they had.
Yes.
That conversation about him, not feeling that 6-year-old Joffrey, one is a bastard, but two, like has no idea that he should be my heir because he knows nothing about the sea, he knows nothing about dragons. Like, what sense would that make? I feel like that sense that Corlys has about not having a proper heir is definitely going to come into play in some of the decisions he makes over the course of this and the next season.
Well, and he's back to full strength now, right? He said, "I'm not an invalid." I assume that means he doesn't need the walking stick.
He can walk around, yeah.
No, and he's a badass. Like, he's self-made. He's been to a shy. He's been to a lot of fucking places, and he gives a shit about his legacy. Like, it's pretty much all he gives a shit about. But very.
Like, I think that Corlys will definitely be more involved later, I believe. Right now, he's essentially just fixing up his fleet, like fixing up his fleet so they can get back out there. Like, that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Pretty important character, Corlys. We can say that.
Yeah.
We can say that. Yeah. So that's why they're taking the time to even put him in an episode where they could have done this conversation anywhere. I think it's still good that they remind us he's still around.
My guess, remember, like, Corlys is such a cool character that was my guess as to why they made him black. Like, before the show came out, that's what I was saying. I'm like, they just fucking did it because they wanted to turn this super cool badass character into a black guy. Sure, I had a video or two like that out there.
You probably did.
Mm.
Is he a good character, Ryan?
I think he's good.
I think he's a great character.
Yeah.
Well, I was
a great character.
I thought you mean good morally or good just interesting?
Well, I was referencing a video that Ryan did in his car. Okay,
a good black person.
He got a little heat for it.
Classic.
Yeah, me and Mo had to talk about that the other day.
We did,
but yeah, he's a very like accomplished and like respected. Does a lot of cool shit. Morally, I'm not going to talk about it because that'll spoil it for guys.
I mean, honestly, in my perspective, up to this point, with everything I've seen of him, he seems like a pretty stand-up guy for the most part. We'll see.
For Westeros.
The thing is, he's mostly made pretty straightforward, normal decisions. He hasn't been put in any what I would call very difficult moral decision making. Like the biggest thing he did was choosing which side he would support. But to be honest with you, where he was and how everything turned out, it seemed do you really think he was going to side with the Greens while he was standing in Dragonstone?
No. And he before Rhaenys could have ended this in episode 9, they got fucking screwed. They got completely screwed. They lost a daughter over this. They've lost son over this.
That is arguably that's why all of season 1 is so important. It tells us why the Valyrians aren't teamed up where they would have been had certain decisions been made, and then it would have been over. There's just no chance.
Yeah, if Viserys had married Lena Velaryon, like was requested by a couple different people, then yeah, none of this shit ever happens.
Yeah, by the strong hand. It was probably one of the best hands, by the way. We got Baela and Rhaena here. So Baela is supposed to be.
What does she look like? Does Baela remind you guys of anybody just looking at her face? She looks familiar.
No. Should she? Chat?
I don't
know. But Baela is trying to tell Rhaena, like, hey, you're not just going off to babysit. You're actually protecting the legacy of the Targaryens right now, just in case things go. Well, actually, Rhaenyra tells her that. But Baela is like, hey, there's a reason for this. Like, don't think you're just being sent off to go do nothing. It's important that we preserve the legacy of the Targaryens. And then we get that scene, if I can find it. Rhaenyra tells her, and then where's the eggs? I hate when I click on this Max thing, it never goes to the frame.
Never the frame you need.
Never the frame I need. And I can't let it play through. I can let it play through without sharing it. So talk amongst yourselves for a second. Because we want to take a look at these eggs.
I think it's earlier in the scene rather than later, but yeah.
Yeah. I think they take them as they walk past and then they have their conversation.
It's a silver, red, green, and gold eggs. Which obviously Daenerys has 3. I can't remember the colors of the 3 off by heart, but who knows what could happen to a 4th one. All these could not be those ones anyway.
Well, so I guess this is depending on if the speculation turns out true, this could arguably be like an incredibly significant scene right here then, right?
Well,
consequence.
Not necessarily. It's just Daenerys ends up being given 3 eggs as gifts in, I think it's episode 1 of Game of Thrones, actually. So it's just curious where those eggs came from. Answering that question is more so, I guess, meta fun than it is
just a curiosity, you know.
Yeah, rather than like massively important to this story. I see.
Unless you buy into some of the crazier theories about dragons and like what dragons are related to which ones and shit like that.
Okay.
And you know which people that ride them become dreamers. I don't know.
Because was Drogon, was that a dark egg? Because
it was like a blackish egg, right?
Viserion was green. Rhaegal was he orange?
Reddish or something? Yeah.
Reddish.
There it is.
Okay.
There, I found it. It was later on.
Because I
4 eggs.
Yeah.
But who knows? You know what? You know what brings these crazy theories, Ryan? When you take 12 years to write a fucking book and you give fans enough time to come up with crazy theories,
to literally come up with every possible permutation, and then everyone votes on which one is the best, and then that one is accepted as canon.
Preston Jacobs did an entire video series making the Dornish more interesting. So
you have enough time for people to be like, well, this doesn't make any sense because they talk about a full moon here, but they also talk about a full moon here. That wouldn't have been a month apart. Like the wildest shit that people discover.
You're going to Lucifer Lightbringer. That's I like it. I think it's great. I just wish we had another book. I haven't checked the time. I'll do it before the end of the stream. It's over 4,000 days, 4,400 days. It's over. Well over. So there are the eggs. There are the eggs. So she's going off to the Eyrie, and there we go. Then we have Helena forgiving her Alicent. So because she knew Alicent was banging Kristen Cole when her little kid's head got cut off.
This is another really good scene as far as I'm concerned, because there's lots to think about. Is Alicent here like she almost was last time? Her concerns, what order are they in? And it seems to me that her primary concern is what she was doing with Cole and the repercussions of that, which I think follows with her not strong parenting, and that her daughter even knows this and wants to reassure her pretty quickly. Because I think Olivia Cook, excellent actress again in this scene, does such a good job of getting that relief when she says it, even though, of course, it should be completely eclipsed by the damage of losing her grandchild and her daughter's pain going through it, right? She acknowledges those things, which I think is good on the writer's behalf, but I think what possibly we're supposed to take from this is that that's all she's thinking about, is what will the repercussions be of you knowing that I was sleeping with Cole, and how do you feel about it? And the fact she said, I forgive you, is just enough for her to feel so much relief, which is just such an interesting dynamic with her daughter, you know?
Yeah.
And you have to this is the first that I can remember. This is the first conversation we've had with Helena. Like an actual, somewhat meaningful conversation that wasn't just her playing with a bug and being like, I see the sky. The sky's really weird. It's going to be bad or something. You know what I mean? Like, this is the first actual conversation. And you have to me, what I was thinking when I heard I forgive you, I'm wondering if Helena intuitively knows that's what her mother is there for, or if she's already had this conversation, because she is a dreamer. You know what I mean? And clearly pretty active one based on all the different things she's predicted, including Aemon losing his eye, all of this shit. So I like that they just left it at that.
Yeah, well, it's why I like it so much. She cuts to it, and it was clearly something Alicent was feeling incredibly pent up about, which, makes sense.
Yeah, and to what Chad said, Alicent didn't have any idea what the fuck she was talking about at first, until she said, I forgive you. And she goes, uh-oh.
Well, I think Alicent was 100% there to, like, I think that was on her mind a ton as well. We saw.
I think it's on her mind a lot. It should be.
Well, I was about to say it has to be, because the nature of it getting out could destroy everything.
But I don't think she knew what Helena was talking about at first. Like, okay.
Well, and we saw in the last episode that even though Alicent was kind of having a meltdown privately with Otto about the pain that Helena was going through, the first interaction we see between Alicent and Helena, it's not really comforting. It's saying, hey, by the way, we have to go parade my grandson and your son out for wartime propaganda. And by the way, you're not going to tell anybody about what you saw, right?
Exactly.
Like, those were the things she prioritized before comforting her grieving daughter. So I 1000% think that was in Alicent's mind, in this conversation with Helena too.
Yeah, and I buy the idea that it's part of her. It's not like they've been explicit in the show, but I'll happily use the language of dreamer, that she would have that level of insight. As you said, this is probably the most lucid they've had of a conversation, but maybe that's not what we're actually seeing necessarily. It's more so a result of those things. But yeah, very good scene. Liked it.
Yep. Valerian steel armor.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That.
Well, yeah, they must have refit it from Aegon the Conqueror. Just saying, he's a bigger dude, but yeah, he's being fit, and he's thinking about going out to battle. And then we get Lars Strong, this guy, this slimy dude, who talks about some rumors of Aemond and Alicent wanting to basically usurp the throne.
He does
from him as he goes to battle.
What he does here is evidence to me that the writers have still got it, so to speak. Like season one of my favorite examples of this was when Viserys is trying to figure out who he should marry. If you remember, Otto and the Grand Maester in the room, which we know those two essentially kind of plot together. And they make clear all of the strategic reasons to marry Laena. And then after like completing it, because that is their jobs, they're conducting it. The Grand Maester looks at Otto, and then Otto is like, and then he does his thing of, I would hate it after my wife died to have to, like, politically speaking, marry someone. It's just horrible. And obviously, then pushing Alicent on him, like, it's a whole chess move that I really like. Laris is just another character that knows, like, it can't be direct what I want. I can't do this in a. I've got to figure out a way around it, and just appealing to Aegon's insecurities is very satisfying.
Yeah, he already got rid of Otto by doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that first episode, that's the way he phrased it. He pulls Aegon aside and gives him that and tells him that shit, that Otto's plotting against him and working against his own interest. Now he does the same thing with Kristen Cole, Alicent, and Aemond. By saying
it's really clever. It's a clever maneuver, and it's clever on the part of the writers to have come up with it, which is one of those things that makes you feel like, okay, all right. Anytime that there's stuff that's happening where you're like, it's like, well, at least you got these scenes to kind of reassure you.
Yeah, and Laris is being played properly. Like geez, I'm so weak and innocent. I'm just trying to help out.
Trying to help you out, bro. I am no threat whatsoever. And he is made Master of Whispers officially.
I love the fact that he said Viserys didn't see the need for Master of Whispers. Like, of course he didn't, because he's such a nice guy. Why would I need someone who whispers and finds out all the secrets and does all this nefarious shit?
And, Otto had his own anyway. So,
yeah. Well, remember when he says the information he gets on Rhaenyra in episode 4? He's like, it's from spies, and then Viserys like, who the fuck are these spies? I want their tongues. And he's like, no, like we don't need to do that.
Oh, and one of the King's Guard needs to get laid, and he's like, I thought you were sworn to chastity now. And they go, oh, sorry, Your Grace.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Night's Watch over on the wall where it's like, yeah, complete, 100%, yes,
totally.
And then they go to Mole's Town.
Yeah.
But I want to try to find a picture from. I'm gonna go pull up one of the other episodes because I want to see if these guys are Aegon's friends, and I'm pretty sure they are. The ones that he was hanging out with
on the stairs, or the ones that he was hanging out with in episode 1.
Yeah, those ones.
I think that's the name.
I got the impression that they showed us that to show that Aegon is like that furious that he went from everything was lax and chill and cool and fun to like, no, we're doing some things officially now and like properly because I want to get some heads rolling. And I'm king, bitch. That sort of stuff.
Yep.
Well, he's not going to act like. Well, I guess depending on the king, more like King Robert than King Viserys is what he's about to act like.
Yep.
Well, I mean, there's archetypes. I can believe Aegon is figuring himself out. I don't think he's going to be good.
No way.
He's not going to make like a face turn.
Something's happening with him, but I don't know where they're going exactly. I'm enjoying him though. He's an interesting, chaotic character. I really like this intro to this scene, by the way. The shot they did of the guy walking through all the, it made it really feel alive and busy. This whole area. Always appreciate stuff like that.
And they dropped dragon seeds again. Called himself a dragon seed. This guy's calling himself a Targaryen bastard.
Do you hear what his name was?
No, I didn't hear what his name
was.
Ulf. Okay.
Yeah.
Ulf.
I didn't catch it either the first time I saw it.
No, I was gonna go check IMDb and I forgot. So and he's bragging to his friend, some Dornishman there, and then Aegon comes in.
Oh, did you spot? Because I did. The girl who gives him his drinks, he slaps her ass. It's the one that Aegon raped in the first season.
Is it really?
Yes.
Holy shit! It takes a really autistic motherfucker to catch that.
Hello.
There you go. You see if Gary can find it on the terrible Max app.
God dang it! Hang on, I'll find it. I'll find it. Talk amongst yourselves.
And you need to tread carefully anyway in the
soon enough. Yes, you're almost there.
Well, dude, I got hit by Max one time when I was reviewing Westworld season 2. Remember when they showed up the map of Westworld? I just showed an image of the fucking map and they hit me. So yeah, fucking.
I was more referring to the
Oh, the dick. Yeah, I'm not gonna show the dick.
I'm just saying, all right. You gotta be careful. It's not far.
When this show, you have to ask which dick are you not going to show.
Well, okay, either of them. All the dicks will not be shown.
What about the tits?
Maybe. No.
Are we gonna ask for?
So he's walking in. Hey, how's it going? What's up?
Drinks for everyone.
Drinks for everybody.
Well, and it's funny, right? He's like the guy on the table. He's like the true king. It's actually what he comes in. He's like, "Hail, Aegon!" Yeah,
yeah. That was good. Yeah, he's talking all this shit. He's like, "Yeah, I'm actually a Targaryen." Like blah 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 blah. And I support Queen Rhaenyra. And then Aegon literally walks in.
Yeah. It's like, whoops. Still waiting for it. Talking about getting some drinks.
I'm pretty sure we also saw Ulf last episode. Because he was walking up and he's the one that spotted the rat catchers hanging. Before that fat woman was crying about her son.
They did show, by the way, crows eating the shit out of the rat catchers. And I feel like that's the show being like, see, you got some karma there. What a piece of shit.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I mean, I guess so.
His dog's already in the bowl of brown, though. That's the thing.
That dog, I saw someone post, that dog is the same dog that Cruella had in the Cruella movie, by the way.
Wait,
actor.
what?
Yeah,
the same actor dog.
Yeah, and apparently there's kind of cool story. It's a rescue that there's like an organization that try to save dogs and get them into acting and stuff. And apparently that's yeah.
Hey, that's
good for him. Really rising up in casting. You know, he made it to House of the Dragon. Good for you, buddy.
I wonder what his next project will be. Maybe it'll be something for stage. Maybe he'll be going for a Tony Award soon.
I think you should go with some comedy. You know, mix it up.
Yeah, some stand-up comedy.
So they rescue dogs. They rescue dogs and get them in acting.
Fuck yeah.
Ironically, if you want to rescue children, you get them out of Hollywood. So I just want to know. Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome. Hail Mahler's autism, ladies and gentlemen.
He's not the only one that noticed it. I did not pick up on it.
I'm assuming right now are getting offended by being considered autism, but you know what? It's okay. It's a power. Use it for good.
Yep,
exactly.
It is a power.
But yeah, I think easy commentary here would be that she did nothing wrong in her job in the kingdom, in the castle, and then she gets downgraded to this job where she's essentially in a similar position of
the bar wench.
Yeah. He's lower in standing, but
welcome to King's Landing. Yeah, get the fuck out of King's Landing.
The guy gave her a tip. Like, what does she expect? You have to put up a little shit. You want to make some money in Westeros.
I'll let anyone slap my ass for a tip.
He's downright. Yeah, that guy's downright progressive for Westeros for just slapping her in the butt. And that's it.
Not just like bending her over and showing her the 50 states.
Westeros progressive.
Dave L in the chat says, no criticism for Ulfs. Here's my backstory for you, the audience. You guys hate that in the Acolyte. Why are you giving it a pass in this episode? What we hate in the Acolyte is when people tell other people what their own backstory is, things that they already know.
I was going to say that
characters can relay backstory in ways that are interesting and tell you something about them. In the Acolyte, it's usually relayed in the most dull, flat way possible. Whereas here, it was being funneled through a conversation with friends in a bar with banter.
He draws drinks out of it, right? He's selling the story in a sense.
Exactly. And he's selling it to the Dornishman who doesn't know, and it's a setup for a gag. It's a gag setup. That's it.
Well, not only that, but there's also the other people have done this. This is not uncommon. Like people trying to claim that they're more than what they are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because usually the point that's being made in terms of clunky exposition is that it's just not something that people tend to do. People don't tend to relay information to each other in a clinical way. They don't tend to recap shared knowledge and understanding of past events in a way that would be packaged really well for somebody who was totally an outsider to it. But people exposit to each other in ways that are totally normal.
Yeah, like it. The problem is when Sol is telling Osha things that Osha already knows about her life growing
up.
And
then Osha responds, let me respond to your summaries of my own life by summarizing my motivations.
Yes.
God, that show is so bad. Oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't compare Acolyte to...
It's not even fair.
It's not even fair. It really isn't. Even with like a slower episode.
Hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby. We shouldn't be doing
that. So King comes in, offers drinks all around. And then we're going to stop sharing for a little bit here. Because there's some big throbbing Johnson going on. And basically Aegon clowns Aemon for being with his first.
Aegon is drunk as shit. He's trying to get this squire laid for the first time, and they're taking a look at the assortment of wares at the brothel that might be available. He opens one curtain, and it's just some dude with his dick fucking halfway down some whore's throat. They're like, "Oh, let's move on to the next one." You move on to the next one. It's some other women that are like,
just like an orgy, you know?
Yeah. You get a lot of tits in that one, and then he goes to the next one, and it's fucking skinny ass Lord Voldemort looking Aemond laying there with the old hoe.
Yes.
The look on his face when he was being ridiculed, obviously because I don't know how the story progresses. I do wonder if this is the thing that might push him over the edge in terms of doing something, making a certain decision.
I'll say before me and Free can speculate on this scene, Ryan and Gary, do your best to be subtle with your interesting thought.
I don't know what it was. Like
everybody lives happily ever after. What are you talking about?
It's just the look on his face as he's being made fun of. All I could think is, we know that something that bugs him is the way that he was treated when he was younger. being made fun of and ridiculed. Like, we know that upset him enough that he was holding a grudge. And I was just wondering if in that particular moment he was just thinking like, do I want to like, commit to a course of action that could be very drastic? That's just a sense I got.
Yeah, no, I not only that, but how I feel like this is bear with me. I think one could argue the cock actually had purpose in this scene. That he was basically like, yes, this is me, this is who I am. Fuck all of you. Basically,
I'm not ashamed of this.
That's exactly what it was. It's like, I don't give a fuck. And it's actually him practicing a little restraint. It's him, like, no fucks to give, showing a little strength, deal with it. He's confident. He doesn't care that he's banging, his first. He likes older women, Oedipus complex.
Well, probably, and they gave us a strong reason. Like, he finds something with her that he never got with, like, he was never loved properly, probably. And right now, I think we got confirmation this episode. Alicent thinks of him as basically a monster.
Yes.
So
yeah.
In her discussion with Rhaenyra,
yeah.
Which we'll get to. So here, leading up to that, here's the note that Rhaenyra refused to read from Alicent, which is basically saying, hey, I don't want this course of action. And also backed up by Rhaenys explaining, you got to say this fucking shit slow. Rhaenys explaining to Rhaenyra that when she was prisoner, before she had an opportunity to end this war immediately by wiping out the Greens, she saw that Alicent wanted to show restraint and didn't want this bloodshed. So,
yeah, it does get complicated. It's like Rhaenys explained to Rhaenyra that she was sending her granddaughter Rhaena to go tell Jaehaerys, the great grandson of Jaehaerys,
yes,
that
older brother of Joffrey,
that Aegon the II is taken over. It doesn't matter that another Aegon is on Dragonstone, and that Aemond will shortly be delivering a message. The fucking names are out of control.
I think they were rude. Their names are rude. They're confusing. They don't make it easy for you to keep track of who's who.
Yeah, the dragon names are way cooler.
I liked, by the way, the opening of the scene being Rhaenyra packing away like a lot of the toys, and she's tearing up because I think that not only is recognition of the decision she's made to essentially separate herself from all of her family in set up to this war, but it's also making her think about, why are we doing all of this? This is insane. This is horrible, and leading into the decision she's going to be making soon.
Yeah, having to send your kids away like that, it's a fucking tough thing.
Well,
even in this world where oftentimes children get raised as cupbearers or squires, thousands of miles away from where their parents are.
You're probably not going to see them again because they could die of dysentery on the fucking road or something,
like Oregon Trail.
Like Oregon Trail. All right, so
this scene.
Yes, so they are headed up to Harrenhal, go get some swords, take Harrenhal, and Gawain wants to go to an inn, which is a couple of miles away. And Kristen Cole's like, that's probably not a good idea. We're really exposed right here, and this is new, right? So we get Bela flying around scouting out. It's not like mentioned, but it makes sense. If you have dragons, I would use them to scout out troop movements and stuff.
Like fucking spy planes.
They totally do for a while. Yeah. And they've done their work in terms of writing this, that they've had zero results for a lot of them for a while, but now
exactly. So eventually you're gonna have something happen, and it's gonna
well,
have a big impact.
They didn't even just have it so that we figure ourselves out how things look from different directions. Like, they show us what they can see, which is a tiny black dot really far away, and then she sees
reflective, from a distance. Like,
no,
kind of.
I'm talking about Cole looks up into a completely blank sky and sees like a black dot, and he's like, "Fuck! If that's a dragon, we're all dead." And then vice versa, the dragon can spot the sun reflecting off the armor, which is really cool. Both details.
Yeah.
So she gets low enough to recognize that it's Kristen Cole. and she chases him into the forest.
She does get close enough that if she gave him a full blast, she might have killed a few people there. Who knows?
But guess what? She was giving orders by who not to engage?
Rhaenyra.
Fucking Rhaenyra. And she implies later on that that's the only reason she didn't. Now, I thought Moondancer looked cool as shit. I think this is the first time we've seen Moondancer in this. All the dragons look so different from each other.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Really
cool as shit.
And it was
absolutely.
It was awesome to see, like, he's diving and then he like really tucks his shit in a dive bomb. I thought it was so cool.
It's really cool attention to detail. Makes him feel really alive and tangible.
And all the dragons sound like their voices are different.
Yep.
Everything. They're just awesome. Can't wait to see a bunch of them get ripped to pieces and die.
Right.
Yeah.
So I love this shot right here where Cole's just kind of fucking told you, dude. And this is where Gawain kind of, like you guys mentioned, has a little respect for somebody.
Oh yeah, he's flipped his position on Cole now. Yeah. Like, thanks, bro.
It's like, I owe you. And now they have to travel at night in forest. It's going to be much harder. Well, that's all I'll say about that. Then we're back to the council, and at least Rhaenyra this time listens to her counselors, who are pretty much saying the same thing. It's like, dude, now we know there's troop movements. They're going up to Harrenhal. We haven't heard from Damon at all. We don't know what the hell's going on right now. We need to do something. And she says, I will take what you have said into consideration. And Rhaenys goes, there you go. And it's like, bitch, you were trying to talk her out of it earlier in the episode. Yeah, Rhaenys is roller coaster with this one.
Consistently, she comes across as a character who's so smug. Like
wise.
I know all the best things, when she often is crap at making decisions herself. She made some of the worst decisions out of any character in the series so far. And then she doesn't take a role that's super responsible, but she happily like sort of slithers in every once in a while. Like, actually, no, myself, what's best here? By the way, I was nearly queen, but just putting that out there.
So let's keep in mind that she said, I will take your counsel into consideration. That's the last scene we see with her until the next scene we see with her. That might not sound like it makes sense, but it will. But it won't. All at the same time. Okay.
Put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. So we're back at Harrenhal. Oh, that's not a good shot. Gosh dang it. I really hate this.
It's wet as shit. Damon's trying to put buckets under raindrops in his little hotel room that he's got there.
There's that shot of him, the camera's in the ceiling, and he looks directly up like, fuck you. It's such a comedy shot to me.
Damon is the funniest character in the show.
Yes.
Not that House of the Dragon is notably a comedy.
That is where you get comedy from, isn't it? Like the scenes of just people awkwardly trying to stumble through doing horrible things, or awkwardly speaking to people they're scared of.
Or when Rhaenys and Rhaenyra figure out that Damon murdered a child.
Yes.
And he's just sitting there with the look on his face like, yeah, I guess I did.
Maybe I did.
Trying to get the shot of young Rhaenyra before we get the sewing the kid's head back onto his body.
Yes. So a couple hours before it came out, I saw spoilers on Twitter. Somebody found out that Millie Alcock was going to be doing a cameo appearance in this episode. And that's what we got. Like one or two lines from her, not much, but there she is. It totally makes sense to bring her back. Because I think like she did such a good job. Allison's younger self did a good job. We talked about it right before the stream. I was thinking, holy shit, if they bring her back.
Oh yeah.
If Damon continues to have these episodes at Harrenhal for as long as he's at Harrenhal, we are 100% deserve to see a Patty Constantine, Viserys interaction with him. If we don't, fuck, I'm going to be sad.
That's a missed opportunity. So, yeah.
For reference, my take on these things would be, without any more context, that something's up with that lady, because they had a significant shot of her entering the room when he was first there, and she turns up in a dream, of course. But that these seem to be dreams. That's what my guess would be so far, or that it's induced by someone doing something to him.
like what Daenerys had when she walked into the. It's kind of like a waking dream. It's like it's a vision. It's a vision. All right, that's what he's walking through a vision right now. And he's
described as a vision or a hallucination in the after show shit. So,
what would it be a hallucination from? Is he sick? Or is it? God, I can't say. I can't say.
I will say, as someone who doesn't know anything, there's so little to do with it other than just being like, this is interesting. I wonder where it will go.
Well,
do you remember when Daenerys did have her set of these, the equivalent, they didn't include the wolf head on, it was foreshadowing for the Red Wedding, which people were very upset by, and to this day I agree still. It's like, that totally should have been in there.
In the books, there's tons of visions that give you an idea of what's to come. And the Red Wedding was foreshadowed a couple of times, more than a couple of times. Yeah. And then like later on in the book, even Jon's resurrection is foreshadowed. Not that we're ever going to actually read it. But yeah, he's standing in front of a werewood right here at Harrenhal. Which a lot were cut down, but I can't recall there being confirmation that there was a time there was no werewoods anywhere south of the north.
Well, yeah. Do you mean that canonically, or do you mean that Game of Thrones didn't do a job of showing us?
George didn't mention it. He added them later in the books to other places, like with Raventree, right? So there was one in Raventree with House Blackwood. I could be wrong. I don't recall them saying there was a werewood at Harrenhal. But and there definitely wasn't one mentioned for King's Landing.
It's a spooky place,
for the Red Keep. Yes, it is. So he is in
Halloween
front,
castle,
and then he sees a woman, a mysterious woman,
a lady who says something mean.
Yeah,
she's like, "You're gonna die here," which I'm sure is completely.
You're gonna die, clown. Yeah.
I'm sure there's nothing to read into that. She's just a random girl who has no significance in what she said and means nothing.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think your instincts are good for sure.
This was one of those scenes they didn't want to keep in because it means nothing at all, but they left it in for the fun of it.
I think we can say they cast her younger than I thought they would.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I actually think that this is a crossover. This is one of the mothers from May and Osha's coven. That seems to be.
I figured that. Why else release these shows at the same time?
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the werewood, technically, hive mind, power of many. There you go.
Do we see any werewoods in Acolyte yet?
No, they cut them all down when Smilo Ren threw the lightsaber at Osha.
Oh, you cut them down. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Smilo Ren is the Lord Heron of of that fucking planet where Karnaka was.
Because I'm a moron, I didn't notice. The villain that's going to be in Ahsoka, the mother, right? She has that art that they use for her is the same smile as the Smilo Ren mask. Did you catch that?
Wait, I don't say that again.
So there's I don't know if there's art they use of Mother, and she's got that weird smile like Venom.
So you're talking about the character Abeloth.
Abeloth
from you're talking Ahsoka season 2.
Yeah, so she's going to be the villain in Ahsoka season 2.
There's theories about that, yes. Yeah. It's something that's completely ripped off from the expanded universe.
You already looked dead inside explaining it, so...
Yeah. I just wanted to make Ryan feel a little dead inside during this.
Yeah.
Just to remind him, contrast. So, yes, that's a character that will probably show up later, I'm guessing.
You will die here.
No, well, she'll never be seen again. Well, if it was Dan and Dave, that would happen. That would definitely happen.
Damon kind of forgot about the creepy girl.
Yeah. More Maseri.
Well, here it is, I guess.
Was described in the book many times as very pale. Is a very pale, That's why she's called the White Worm.
Oh, makes sense.
Sure. She wears white. So Rhaenyra talks to her about, hey, I want to talk to Alicent. Is there a way to make it possible? And she's like, there is no way to make it possible. She is under God. Constant guard.
Before going through what they do in the show, why don't let's pretend for a second we're in the writer's room and we are tasked with, you got to get a scene where Rhaenyra and Alicent talk through this war, likely having their final conversation. And you got to make it end on a bad note, essentially. Not necessarily a note where they hate each other, but one that means there's no way this war is stopping. Like, all right. So I'd assume I would be like, guys, we're not going to get it so that they meet up like one-on-one, because neither of them would believe the other with messages, which is something she says. She's like, neither of us. If you sent a message saying, let's meet up at that secret spot we know, and the other one goes, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I won't tell anybody. It's like, that's never happened. That's crazy. It's like, okay, so what else we got? It's like, well, we've seen in season 1, they'll have meetings. They're dangerous, right? When Otto turned up in episode, was it 8 or 9? 10, I think? 10. Where he goes to Dragonstone. In theory, he could have been killed there, but like, it's something of a sort of a parlay. Like, we could do that. I think the advisors would probably go against it on both sides.
Well, Otto goes there early on too.
He does, yeah. So it's like, you might, it's risky, but you could probably facilitate it that way. We would have to make it an official thing, get them in a, both sides tell each other to stand down while we have a conversation. Like I said, it's going to be tough, and it's going to be a while. There's a lot of logistics to set up here, and there's a lot of messages have to go back and forth, and there's a lot of convincing of people, which is awkward because we've got so many other things happening, so many other people going places and stuff starting up. So what I'm trying to get at, I don't know if you guys agree, this is really fucking hard to make happen.
Yes.
Yep.
Almost totally to the point where, like, I know you really wanted to make it happen, but it does it really fit? Did it really need to happen? So I would suggest, if I was in a writer's room, and this would be almost as crazy as what they did, but I don't think as crazy, is have like a parlay, right? And you would have to convince Aegon, which would be awfully hard.
Yes.
But you have that, and it goes sideways, and they don't even fucking talk. They just don't. I understand why they felt like they needed this scene, though. Because they were setting it up throughout the episode that the women are practicing the restraint, and they're the ones, and it's all the men going crazy. And I don't even know if they meant to do this or not, but they end up showing that, no, it's just, this is the way it is in the world. But this was contrived. There's no other way to put it. Like the scene itself is fine, but how they got there, completely contrived, because what you just mentioned, it takes time. So we talked about this while we were totally not watching it. We're like, minimum, it takes 4 days to plan this. You gotta come up with costumes, and you need to come up with a plan and get the King's Guard to go with you. And you're going to get in a boat. And you're going to sail over there. So that's going to take you most of the day. So maybe 3 days of total planning, execution from start to finish to where you get the King's Landing. She is dressed as oh God, why am I blanking?
Septon person.
Septon, yeah.
She's dressed as a Septon. Yes.
And you have also the difficulty of, did she tell the people of Dragonstone about this plan or not? If she did, they would all stop her. They'd be like, you're insane. There's no fucking way this is happening. Ever.
And if somehow they were all like, yeah, good plan, I mean, one of them could leak it, and then you'd be doomed.
And let's not
who's
forget,
in charge when she's gone as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's another
one.
Because Damon's gone.
Because remember, the last thing she said to her council was, they're like, we need to fucking do something right now, and she's going to take it into consideration. And the thing she does is take off for 3 days to the enemy's castle, and they got mad at the council by saying, remember, Rhaenys and Rhaenyra got mad at the council for saying maybe Rhaenyra should take off and we'll like be a distraction over here. And they go, you forget your place, council. Well, that's exactly what they just did.
And
it's exactly what they just did.
It's like you said, 3 days to get there. It's like, so is she missing for like a week?
No, it doesn't take 3 days. It would take 3 days like total. You can get there in a day. Yeah, you can get there.
But even then, it's still like 3 days of, wait, where is she?
Yeah.
Where is she? What's happened?
People would notice. People would talk. Then when they find out she's simply unavailable, it'd be like, oh.
Maybe simply unavailable. What could that possibly be?
3 days. She's on a little
ill.
cruise.
Yeah, Rainey's is just making snide remarks towards everybody else to pass the time.
Yep.
That's what's
you
going
men
on.
are always out to start your wars where millions of small folk died. It's like, yeah, how many small folk did you step on when you could have ended the war by just killing some royals?
And to be clear, we were saying this when we were watching it. I get it. I get why you want to have this conversation with these two. It's a really interesting one.
It is.
You kind of cheated to get it.
Yeah.
It's resolving shit like the miscommunication that needed to be resolved. Like, because Rhaenyra thinks Alicent stole her shit. Alicent genuinely thought that Viserys changed his mind. Neither of those things actually happened.
No, and it's so funny when that. Well, we'll get to it. So they have a Kingsguard. So it's more likely the Kingsguard would be recognized than Rhaenyra by other people, but they're dressed as
neither of them would probably be super likely to be recognized by anybody at the church.
I was mostly fine with it. I just there was several moments, especially in the conversation, where I was like, "Keep your fucking head down."
She's just not being remotely. Like she needs to play Assassin's Creed, right? Like Altair, he keeps his head down when he's sneaking through the crowd. Just start looking at everybody.
But this is like
the Queen,
and this is kind of like going back to what was it, episode 4, when her and Damon went around and almost started fucking that one night. These people never see the royals, they have no idea what they fucking look like.
Have no fucking idea.
Like I said, I can buy that part.
But other kings, if another Kingsguard, which there's fewer. There's a lot of them who are new, so that's good. But
but still, it all adds up. It's just okay, all right. Okay, yeah, I guess we'll let that slide.
So they go to the Sept, and it's a callback to their scene together around the candles.
Yeah, episode 2, something like that,
I think.
And she wants to, and she's like, "What's to keep me from screaming? Well, I'll kill you." And she's like, "Well, I start off badly. That started off badly."
I did, I did like it's like, so I shout, "You kill me, then you die, or you get cat." Why? She's just like, what? Yeah, okay. But like, at this point, what are you gonna say?
Oh yeah, well, what's Alicent gonna say when she's like later on? Maybe it gets found out that these two talked, because this wasn't in the book. So it's like, I totally could have just screamed, and we had Rhaenyra right there, and we could have ended this war like in a second, and I didn't. I let her go. So that's their.
It's the second time that Alicent would have that opportunity to do that and pass on it, and instead lead to a bunch of bad shit happening.
Yeah. So they start talking, and they talk about the prophecy of ice and fire, and she's said, so, Viserys just changed his mind last minute. I just talked to him like an hour before you did. He just changed his mind. She's all, yes, I heard him mention Aegon's name. And she had asked prior, did he mention my name? And she said, no. Well, what did he say? And she pauses for a long time, and she talks about the prophecy of ice and fire. And she's like, he told you about that? Aegon the Conqueror? And the look of realization on her face. Like, there's other Aegons, right? So, it's the look of, it's pretty funny. Like, we just, oh shit. So I'll see if I can find it.
I will say, what's I think well built about this conversation is that you do get the sort of like, what terms would there even be? You lack a lot of leverage in this war, and then she's like, easy for you to say. Like, she references a bunch of realities of the situation, and they include some of the horrors, and then they start back and forthing about why that happened and why that happened and why that happened, and then it gets down to Rhaenyra being like, yeah, and you backstabbed me with the succession, and so we get to have that conversation, which I thought they were leading to. But what I appreciate about this scene is that it has to be needled out, so to speak. It doesn't just go, he talked about, and she relays like every last word. It has to actually, and what they allow, which I appreciate, is for a moment there, I think Rhaenyra has to come to believe that Viserys actually did name Aegon. Like she for a moment seems to be like, really, he did that? I can't believe it. And then there's that she says Aegon the Conqueror. Oh, sorry. The fuck. What am I?
The prince that was promised.
That's the word. Yeah.
Yeah. I love what she says.
Point?
I may have been unkind, but I've never been untrue. It's like, bitch, what the fuck you talking about?
I will say, I don't know, because we found it kind of funny.
Yeah, we laughed.
When she says the prince that was promised, it's such a, they both have a moment of this slowly both realizing what happened and like, oh no.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Seriously.
There is something funny about that of just like such a crazy misunderstanding with such major consequences. I can imagine that being just like a meme, though, just the reaction itself. Yeah. Of just, are you serious? Okay.
And that is, for better or worse, as frustrating as it might be or not, that's a theme of the show. You have a complete and total misunderstanding about what happened between them, like lead to Aegon get crowned, Rhaenyra gets put on Dragonstone, war fought. You have a complete and total misunderstanding that ends up with Luke getting chomped by Vhagar and dies. You have we don't know whether it was a misunderstanding or not that ends up in Jaehaerys getting his head sawed off in his bed. You have you have a misunderstanding that Damon then lies about to convince Viserys that he fucked Rhaenyra. Like that's what this entire thing is built off from pretty much the beginning of the show.
Well, yeah, it's when it gets started, it's frustrating when these sorts of things happen. It often does. It occurs in cases where it feels like you're really like twisting it to essentially make your story play out, whereas here it feels much more purposeful that these sorts of things happen. Like it is kind of baked into the nature of the story's kind of like commentary on like how these events can play out, that like so much of consequence is going to stem from these small misunderstandings and miscommunications that just ripple out and have crazy consequences, not just in terms of the direct events themselves, but the fact that there'll be a war fought over it that's going to cause harm to so many people.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course,
yeah. Oh, well, I was just going to say it does feel like it rounds out the burning of the mill, like, and that's what it's called, right? The event.
Yeah.
That of essentially that this episode is trying to address the idea of how it started is it's just not on people's minds. It's not like it's happening, right? Who started it and why is it's too late.
Becomes more and more hazy as time goes on. Yeah,
exactly. It's just there will be violence now, and these two. It's essentially Rhaenyra basically realizing at this point that it's like twofold. It's her realizing something that Alicent seems to have basically accepted, but also that her now knowing with absolute certainty that she wasn't passed over by Viserys is now like probably going to give her a lot more conviction to fight.
Well, and to know that her childhood best friend that she did believe wouldn't have sanctioned a lot of the horrors that have happened. She now knows, she said explicitly, of course, I wouldn't have wanted those. However, and that's the reality at the end of this conversation, it's done. It's all done.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is the look
Alice. Even if Alicent did want to do something in the reveal of all this, it's too late.
She couldn't.
Like she has no power.
Yeah. It's not even if she did, I don't think she would end the war, but she doesn't. You're right. There's a complete reality. She cannot do shit. She's got barely any power to stop this war. Rhaenyra foolishly believes, even for a second, you could tell everyone that you misheard. It's like, bro.
And what do you think they're gonna do? Oh, okay.
And this is her hearing. She goes, wait, he told you the prophecy of ice and fire of Aegon the Conqueror, and she goes, "Oh, fuck."
Well, I quite like her delivery. She there's a second, there's like a pause, and then Olivia Cook sort of goes, "Aegon the Conqueror."
The Conqueror, yeah.
Like she's thinking back to what Viserys said, and she's like, "Oh, fuck."
Oh, God, I think
yeah.
I can find it. There it is. It was. I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but I was laughing. It was
there were elements of it that were funny, like and how they almost like Cheryl stabs her, and she's like, Well, I mean, if you call for your guards, they'll come and they'll kill me, but not before I kill you. I didn't start this off. I didn't start this off very well, did I? Like there are little funny things that happen.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that she's you could be captured soon. You could be noticed soon. She goes to walk away. She's like, whoa, like you know the truth of that. She's like, no, I don't. I don't know anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
but now she's got to live with this. Now she knows the whole as the war goes on, this will be on her mind the whole time.
Yes. Yeah. In a sense, I wonder if it's kind of flipped the nature of how confident either of them are feeling, because the impression you get is Allison did she had a view of what she was told and what it meant, and obviously like Otto and everybody else, they kind of didn't, like they'd already been hatching their plans. It didn't really matter that much to them. And then of course Rhaenyra having a level of, I guess, insecurity about it that's now evaporated.
We were saying it during the show. What I love about this world is how much people are spied on and how many spies who are very clearly doing their job very well. We know someone who would be keeping ever a close watch on someone like Allison. And anyone who's keeping a close watch on her would be like, there is a Septon who's been talking to her for the past like 5 minutes.
If it was anybody, it'd probably be Laris, right?
Well, so what I'm suggesting is that
and the
spy
Sept would be filled with spies.
Yes, a spy would just walk around and be like, "Wait, is that?" And you can see she has white hair, by the way.
Light a few candles.
Yep. And just feel like, holy fucking shit, that's ridiculous.
I wouldn't be surprised at all in the future if
So I suppose I'd probably be happier with because I mean, for all of the problems that have been talked about, if it was noticed by somebody, presumably Laris, and then that plays into the story later, I think I'd feel better about this scene overall.
I don't like how they got here, and I don't like everything about how the scene runs. But obviously, just like the writers intended, we all got to have some fun with this conversation. I get it; it has value. I just
and the fact that she hangs out after Allison leaves, and we were both going, we're like, get out, leave.
Get out,
get the fuck out.
I think when it would be interesting if Laris does find out about this conversation, because what he's immediately going to do is use it to manipulate Aegon, right? Like, look, your mother's not in this. Your mother, she's doing this stuff, blah, blah, blah. She's a traitor. Yeah. Just continue to strip Aegon of anybody that might actually steer him to do like the right thing.
That's where it ends.
The whole nature of like having at the end of the episode, hey, I'd like to speak to Allison. It's like, well, there's only one way to do it, and then boom, 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 done, boom, 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 back. It feels very late stage Game of Thrones logic that you sort of give up a little bit on logistics.
It would have been nice to have that edited differently and have that scene like of them decide, well, there's only one place that she's alone. Like, and have that scene like halfway through the episode, maybe a couple other fucking things happen. And then you fast forward to her getting there. I think at least then that would make it feel
I totally understand
back to back,
that. But if you remember, like the first scene with Rhaenyra is burying the twins, which is an important one. Then it's establishing her relationship with the White Worm correctly, like where do we stand, sort of thing. I'm gonna have a note on that in a second. Then the next scene, I think, is the sort of the awkwardness with the council that then gets Rhaenys to have her conversation with Corlys, and then we have her saying goodbye to her kids, which then all of those things leads into her feeling bad about the kids, seeing that she hasn't read Alicent's message, which then prompts us to get to the scene with the White Worm. So I do feel like all of this was supposed to be built this way so that we get those scenes, but you're right, I think they rush it too much. Another thing that I'd mentioned while we were watching it that does bother me, this is a huge bit of trust to put in the White Worm. And I know that people would say, like, well, yeah, but she saved her life last episode. It's like, yes, but this is the ultimate, like, key to getting back into the good graces of the Hightowers if that was something she wanted. You don't know. You've just, like, organized with this woman something that she... For a moment there, the White Worm had the most important piece of information in the world.
Yeah. Like, without... I guess we had one Kingsguard. That was your, like, only fucking protection. One Kingsguard not in his armor... They're just, is in rags. I guess maybe he might have something on it. Probably not.
she's not only free, she is now a member of her council. She likely is her master of whispers, right? So she'll have ravens, she'll have people in King's Landing. It's just like, damn, if she, I'm just saying, like I don't like how quickly she gained basically complete trust from Rhaenyra.
Like ultimately, they're women. They share like that's what it is. That's what it is. They share. They've both had be victims of Damon's violence. They've both, in their own way, had these different struggles in their world.
I know that's
not having.
the
And I don't like it. I don't like that.
Yeah,
but like I'm just saying, like that's clearly the reason that is happening, which is annoying.
Yep. I was just looking at some under the House of the Dragon stuff, everybody's loving it. So it's still it's good. It's fine.
How many?
I mean, the first 3 episodes, I feel about the same as the first three. You know what I mean? Like I'm not particularly jazzed about any of them in a hyper passionate way. I'm like, this is TV and it's good. I'm just we'll see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes.
I feel like after rewatching the second episode, I kind of liked it more than the first episode. I liked it more the second time I watched it. We'll see how I feel about this one. I'll watch it again.
I will,
tomorrow. So.
The auto scenes were just banger in the first.
Yes, they were, episode. And he was not
He's
here.
So good. Yeah,
this episode, and his presence was missed. But I understand why he's not here.
I'm just gonna say that without any specifics, this story, like Game of Thrones, had levity. It had Tyrion. There was some funny, like especially the first 4 seasons.
Bronn.
Tyrion, Jaime, Bronn.
Yeah, Jaime, Bronn. This story does not have that other than Damon. And like Matt Smith's actually been pulling it off more than you would get out of the book. But like Matt Smith's been holding it together as far as like he does some funny shit. And you need levity in something like this because
it's so fucking dark.
Yeah. It's fucking dark. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I think you're gonna like next week.
Well, I'm hoping, and I think everyone's hoping, that these 3 episodes have set things in place that are going to make episode 4, blow up. It's going to be like, oh, look at all these things happening.
Yeah.
Episode 4 is probably going to be pretty crazy.
Yep. And not just for one thing. There's a couple things that go on. So if they put them in. Hey, let's get to the people.
All right.
Saw Jane Theory was in the chat again. I love seeing Jane Theory in the chat.
Howdy.
What's up, Jane? We miss you. From Dakota Stanton for $10 says, I don't get the Greens or the Blacks plans. The second Aemon killed Luke, I would have taken Harrenhal before Rhaenyra striked, and in reverse, Rhaenyra should have burned Storm's End to the ground.
I don't know about Storm's End. That wasn't like
you can't, by the way. Like Storm's End is pretty tough, and well, I mean, they don't have Vhagar, maybe, but Storm's End's pretty tough castle. Also, the weather is crazy there.
Is it like consistently stormy?
It's consistently stormy. Yes.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a place where storms don't end.
But they don't end.
Oh, yeah, clever.
And it's one of the much older castles where they have they just have myths of Bran the Builder built it, like they have no fucking idea. But yeah, I don't know if you could burn it to the ground. In the book, Damon does go to Harrenhal before Blood and Cheese. That's like one of the first things he does. So but again, it's just mentioned, like changing the order of things doesn't make that much of a difference because we're talking about paragraphs of information that could just be out of order from the 3 unreliable narrators. 3. And Mushroom's the best. Mushroom's the best part of that book. Blue-Eyed Scorpio for $5. Gotta admit it wasn't in the mood for a filler. Should have had at least showed some fighting of the opening battle. It was just going to be dialogue episode. It's political intrigue.
I wouldn't describe it as a filler episode myself.
Yeah.
It's definitely advancing the plot.
Thank you for the $5.
Building up. And building up the story. It's just that yes, it's things are moving slower. Definitely, they are moving slower.
If you don't want to watch people in medieval looking dress speaking to each other in rooms, don't watch the first several seasons of Game of Thrones, I guess.
It is interesting to me because Game of Thrones' foundation, the vast majority of what was so good about it were the quality of the conversations with the characters. It wasn't fights.
Well, I mean, I suppose I understand the getting hyped up about the battles, but then again, for Battle of Winterfell, right? That was
also what I'm suggesting is maybe the problem isn't even the lack of fights. Maybe it is that people are not convinced enough by these scenes that enough is happening, even in the conversation side of it, which I'm willing to see some validity in. It's just that it's hard for me to fully judge with shows like this until I've seen the season. Because there's a lot of things I could be missing in these scenes because I don't know where exactly everything is leading to. There could be a character who I assume is a one scene character who ends up being super important later, and they've said something that's super. There's Ryan's smiling. I assume there's gonna be plenty of that, so it's hard for me to say. But I mean, I'm feeling it a little bit. The pacing, it's like I'm hoping for things to happen, to speed up. But like I said, I don't want to judge too harshly before I've seen more.
It may well just be that when you're comparing it to season 1, which is kind of like the framing of every episode is something significant happened, that compared to this, that's way more conventional. I mean, it is noticeable, right? That it's not as many crazy things are happening in every single episode.
Yeah,
well, I feel like season 1 a lot more. Season 1, because of the time jumps as well, they were time jumping to more significant events. Whereas these first 3 episodes all feel like they're building up to what's going to happen in episode 4.
You know, what's strange though is this is getting more build up than the
Battle of Winterfell.
Battle of Winterfell. It's getting more build up. It is.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. So, which the Battle of Winterfell needed, but this is building up to episode 4, but also the rest of the series. Remember that,
right?
So, of a 4-season series, like this has got an end. This actually has an end that they're working towards. Yeah, and there was 10 episodes last season. It was certainly paced a lot better, but yeah, I was starting to think like, what's the most exciting battle thing from season 1? I would argue the opening scene
for Game of Thrones.
For Game of Thrones, yes.
Oh, season 1. I wouldn't even. It's not even because I love that You know what annoys me about that, Gary? That scene is a promise.
Is a promise that they never delivered.
They never fucking delivered. The White Walker. The fucking. Try and picture this like anybody. When I knew nothing about this show, and I'm watching a bunch of guys just having a chat, and then there were this dog. Oh, it's a cold place in the woods, whatever. And they're just like getting scared, and then they're starting to get taken off one by one, and then there's just this dude that chops the head off one of them. He has like dark blue eyes or whatever, and he's just staring at them. I was like, "What is this?
What the fuck am I watching?"
Yeah, and, well, it's a horror fantasy, like right, and then it turns into political intrigue, and it's like all these people fighting over this chair, and there's like death coming.
Whatever the fuck that was.
Whatever the fuck that was.
It's like, in retrospect, what a glorious first scene for that show that they fucked up. Like, it's such a good.
That there's no reason to have. Like when you get to the end after 8 episodes, there was really no reason to have it in the beginning.
They weren't that big. They weren't that big a deal. You know.
So sad in retrospect.
I'm
trying to think of other action scenes in season 1. You have Ned fighting Jaime briefly.
Yeah. There's some. There's but it's mostly just setting it up and
barely anything. Yeah,
barely anything, and then a great ending, like a fucking great ending.
And even in season, like even when you get into like season 2 and stuff like that, it's not a ton.
No, the Battle of the Blackwater was a big like holy shit.
It was like such a big build up to that episode.
That was fucking insane. I mean, like 5 people got upset at me, but I was watching the finale at my father-in-law's house, and I'm like, that's how you end a fucking series, tits and a dragon, and, and it was like spoilers. I'm like, Oh shit! Sorry.
I'm just because you made me think about it now, Ryan. It's all your fault, but I'm not gonna play a clip. I'm just sharing the screen. This being like this lived in my head for a while as the opening of Game of Thrones. I was like, holy fuck.
Put that back up in a second.
Looks so
That's
cool.
a promise that was never kept. Never kept. I like how he tosses it to him too. He's all bitch.
It's good stuff, man.
Good stuff. Dakota Stanton again for $10. Thank you very much. That Rhaenyra Allison talk should have happened later when Rhaenyra is, how shall I say, in more power and Maegor with teats. Well, they already called her Rhaenyra the Cruel.
For us, it would have to happen later because I feel it's dictated by the world that it couldn't happen this quickly. We'd have to do a lot of things to get this in play. But I understand completely wanting to have this conversation happen. I do, and I'd be more than willing to try and facilitate it as a writer. I'd be like, yeah, let's get this going. Let's figure out a way.
Yeah, there's, as Mahler said, there's like each episode has some pesky little things that could not matter in the long run. Just like that's kind of dumb, but whatever.
Yeah,
we'll see though. We'll see. Hand shot last for $4.99 says overall enjoyable. Really like Harrenhal. I did too. I still like. Listen, I'm gonna go. I go after I watch it because I totally do not watch these with Mahler, and then I watch them in my home theater, and they look so fucking good. Mm-hmm. I just kick back and enjoy it. So yeah, I get to watch 3 back to back next time. Hopefully we might see some Vizzy Tea next week. I hope we get another episode 8, but if not, at least episode 7. We'll get something.
I'm holding out hope for episode 8 level quality episode in this season. I really would like that a lot.
Vermithor for 50. The dragon get all that money. Thank you. Golden dragons there. A big book reader episode. Children and young dragons sent away. Ulf's history. The king and his armor. A slow build, but we are ready for the war now. Matt Smith can carry a whole episode. Also, I loved Ryan's MLK quote last week. Hail, boys. I have a dream.
I don't remember what I said.
It probably wasn't good.
I think it was like, don't judge me by the color of my skin, but it was something like that. I just have no recollection of what I actually said, but I'm glad you thought it was funny.
Yeah. Nathan Cassidy for $4.99. Just binge watched all of season 1 and just finished episode 2 before it premiered. Hot D is probably one of the best shows I've seen for a long time. It is. It's a real TV show. It's a real TV show with real writers. And I'm going to gush over it. The production design, the dragon design, the costume design, the way things are shot, the music. Ramin Djawadi is he's the GOAT, man. He is so good for TV soundtracks. Even when Westworld is bad, his soundtracks for Westworld are unfucking believable.
Between him and Bear McCreary, like is anyone else working on soundtracks for TV shows at this point?
Murray Gold came back, but we won't talk about that.
We won't talk
about that. Oh, I just found I found all my I got my my vinyl Battlestar Galactica soundtracks. Found all those today. I was like, yeah. Nathan Cassidy for $4.99. Oh, I read that one already. Mikey Gussler for 20. What's up, Mikey? All the people in the chat complaining about no action is the reason why Game of Thrones fell off. Also, don't blame the people.
I don't, like I said, I think some people might just be commenting more so on the pacing, literally the pacing of whether there's talking or fighting, the pacing.
Yeah. And go on,
I think a lot of it is that so many people hopped on the Game of Thrones bandwagon in seasons like 4, 5, 6, all the way up to the end, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people who got involved then, I think they binge watched all of the first fucking 3 or 4 seasons and got caught up, and they expect that major battles are like a big part of fucking like what Game of Thrones always was, and that's what they want. And I think they're almost used to that type of shit. That's how it feels to me.
And that's exactly what it isn't, right? So there's magic, there's battles, and both of them are earned and have massive consequences and fallout for a long fucking time. For a long time. And I think you're absolutely right. If like, I love the books. And one of the books I love the most is one of the most hated books. I love A Dance with Dragons. I fucking love that book. I've read it. I've reread it a bunch of times, and it's a bunch of meandering and fucking talking. But I like the characters. I like the dialogue. We get some of the best speeches in that. I love that book. Feast for Crows. Now, if you do the Boiled Leather breakdown, because there's supposed to be one book, and if you read it in order, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Takes a long time, and you got to have your little checklist of what chapters you're going to. But the Boiled Leather has a read where it's a Feast for Dragons.
I think just to what Ryan was saying as well, right? The end of the season leading to a big battle became a thing in Game of Thrones, arguably early, but then it became so expected that they almost started to just build everything toward it and be like, yeah, sometimes we'll even get one earlier, and you're sort of just like, wait, what is that? How did this happen? It was like Battle of the Bastards probably was like when everyone was just hype about the fight episode for the whole season even, and it's just like, oh, I don't think this should be the way that it works. We
kind of did Rickon so fucking dirty in that. I couldn't get over it.
Well, I think a lot of people have referenced how at the time it felt like an event that was awesome, but everyone looking back and taking the scenes slowly. There's great cinematography, I think, sound design and performances, but like, you look at the logistics of the battle and you're like, how the fuck did any of this happen?
Again, soundtracks for those seasons are fucking great.
Yes.
Also,
and like as much as we kind of despise what all those seasons did, like subsequently how it kind of destroyed the show, an important thing to remember, the viewership just continued to go up and up and up.
It was astronomical.
It kept going up. There were so many people watching those seasons, so it was becoming more popular. More people were getting into it at that time when that was Game of Thrones.
Well, and if you looked at a lot of the behind the scenes for season 8 specifically, all the people who worked on this show knew how to do it all, like back to front, to the point where it, I think, became a lot less sort of new challenges and new solutions, creative storytelling here and there. More so like, we're doing this is how it's done. We're doing this is how it's done. And then the shows are getting printed out, basically. And so many mistakes were getting made at the writing level, to the point where actors were basically complaining publicly. Or, you know, you could say privately, but I'm talking about, like, you know, the table reads where they're tossing fucking scripts. Like,
best series ever.
I love that clip.
Also, people saying that Aemon is being wussified are wrong. No, Aemon? No. They're showing his struggles with not having the motherly love.
If anything, the scene we got in this episode was evidence that he's basically done with being bullied. That's what I got from that scene. He was like, this is it. Now I'm done. This is stupid.
And I think if from last episode, like him just being cradled, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, there's like, he's obviously like going through some shit. So I get being a little bit worried about what they're going to do with his character. But I think they turned that around in this episode.
But that's what fans do, Mikey. They complain about shows like, hey, are you going to give, I love you, Mikey. You're going to give James Gunn Superman a chance? Are you? I mean,
I've seen memes of like Superman lasering James Gunn's grave and stuff. It's like...
It could suck. I don't know.
Well, Mikey reminded me today during my stream, and I had forgot that. Remember the approved budget, the actual budget, because they had to present it to get the rights to film in Ohio.
Yeah,
$364 million for Superman Legacy.
They might not make their money back, dude.
You got to make $1 billion.
You got to make $1 billion.
Really betting everything on that, huh?
Well, that's that's Black Falcon, Captain America. I mean, it's the same.
Well, I was about to say,
no way that's making us money back.
Well, I was about to say, no. It's funny how that's a lot, and yet not as much as Dead Reckoning Part 2, whatever that'll be called.
Oh yeah, it's not
like as much as Captain Falcon either.
The poor Poor Tom Cruise and his submarines and spaceships that keep malfunctioning.
I know,
costing him like tens of millions of dollars.
He's gonna surf off the space shuttle that they reconstructed just for him.
Mission Impossible is gonna get Mad Maxed. People are gonna be like, "Well, this franchise doesn't work and can't make money." And it's like, no, that wasn't the case. You guys just blew it up.
Yeah. They spent way too much money.
Thank you, Mikey, for 20 more, and thanks for being here, Mikey. You know I love you. Dude, I got a bitchin'. I can't believe I just said that.
You know why you said that? Because you're watching Stranger Things.
That's it. That's it. You got me. Because I'm rewatching Stranger Things. But he sent me Star Trek trivia cards, which I'm going to use for a future stream, by the way.
Ooh.
Some vintage ones. And
if
Ghost
it's TOS,
Rider.
I can answer the question.
It's not. Well, yeah, I mean, no, it is. It is TOS. So you will be able to answer the question. So you can play. Yes. Young man. All right, that'll be awesome. So thank you, Mikey, and an awesome Ghost Rider lunchbox. Fucking love Ghost Rider. So love you, Mikey. I also see people complaining in the chat about how this show is woke and focuses too much on the female characters. Female characters don't automatically make a show woke. It's forcing of the message that ruins the product. Yeah, and like the one thing they did establish with that speech is they're dumb too. So like really with the end, it's like, you know, an argument can be made that this war started because some bitch wanted to hear what she wanted to hear.
You know, if Rhaenys were eaten in the opening of the next episode, I would tell you guys my conclusion about her character was that she was kind of an idiot and she didn't realize that she was the very problem she talked about throughout her whole story, which is actually not even that bad to me.
No, Reese Fawn's clip, this clip right here explains it all. Hang on. Should have had that ready. Sorry, Ryan. It'll be just a second.
Both sides are genocidal, crazy war criminals. So I think we should all enjoy seeing how they die.
I like hearing the inspirational music behind
it.
It's
so good.
He sounds so Welsh as well. I love it.
And it was, I thought it was interesting that she was spending so much time worrying about Corlys when she's the one that's out there on Dragonback every day. And I guess when you're on a dragon, you probably do feel a little invincible.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have to imagine you feel that way as a dragon rider.
Well, you feel that way right until there's a bigger dragon. You're like, oh, fuck.
And Corlys did just get fucked up. Like,
he did almost die. Yeah,
he did almost die. So.
He's like, well, I guess you'll have to be satisfied with the knowledge that I'm a good sailor. Like, I'm surprised she didn't go, you literally almost died 2 years ago. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's what my wife would say. The Desi Thinker for $20. No way she snuck in King's Landing and Alicent let her go. Reminds me of season 7 zombie episode. All the shots at men for being the reason for war when women act dumb. Men in this episode had a far more interesting story. 5 out of 10. Fair enough. They did.
Alicent letting her go. I'm not sure where I land on that. Because
I think like Alicent has now realized that she's trying to come to terms with, holy shit, she fucked up. Like
there's that, but I mean, if we remove that, even I could see an argument for why Alicent is I don't know. You could see her as completely immoral at this point, or completely bereft of any kind of like humanity. But I can buy, especially with the relationship that they've shown of their whole lives, these two, that the risk that Rhaenyra took to speak to her and to try and figure out peace, that Alicent would be convinced enough in that moment to say, "Get out, just go, get the fuck out of here. I'm not going to say anything. Just go right now. Go." I can buy that.
I think she cares more about Rhaenyra than she's ever cared for anybody in her life, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Including Viserys, including her children, probably, which is kind of fucked up, but you know.
And then when you add on what Ryan was talking about with how she's just had an existential crisis, I could totally see her being like, you know what, I'm leaving. You do what you do. Like I need to go have a moment.
For the Emperor. Been a member for 23 months. My only issue is how they keep trying to bring down Aemon. Give it time. All I would say.
I can understand this point of view, but as someone who is anticipating how they're building these stories, I feel like Aemon's about to explode. In a sense, we'll see.
Listen, Hollywood's earned this. I wouldn't put it out of the realm. Ryan, we talked about this. They could have the sophomore jinx. This season could just shit the bed. We'll find out. It hasn't yet, but it could. Absolutely could. We'll find out. Let's hope they don't get too cocky like the creators of The Boys. So let's hope that shit don't go to their head. God dang it. I reread the final issue of The Boys. I'm just like, there's no way they could ever do this. There's no way they could end it, which has such a good ending, by the way. But they can't end it that way. They've veered away far too much. Lance, $4.99. They're really overplaying this. All men want to do is fight, and the women keep the peace card until the end.
So, like I said, if we removed it from all context of age and culture in any way, shape, or form, it's just a story being told. I would have gotten the impression that they're doing that on purpose, that they're trying to point out that women can foolishly believe, because they don't typically get power, that if they had it, they would make everything right and happy with the world, while this show is pointing out, no, you fucking wouldn't.
Yes, and that's I guess we'll see what happens.
Hey, when Game of Thrones starts, what's missing from Westeros?
Also, just Fringy, this doesn't work the same way as Discord, I'm afraid. People can pick up
Oh, what? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey, what you eating, Fringy?
I am a gamer bro. I'm eating Doritos. I'm a gamer bro to the core.
So there's something missing. We saw eggs in this episode. What's missing? What's missing from Game of Thrones in the beginning?
There's no dragons.
Yeah. There's no dragons.
I wonder how that happens.
Yeah.
I guess they all went to an island and hung out.
Well, when they call it the Dance of the Dragons, they actually meant they just all went to a big ball. Yeah, they disappeared. They went to Pentos. They hosted a big dance party there, and that's where the dragons still
dancing.
Are. So.
Dancing like a manless Stenberg. John McKinley for $19.99. Hail, gents. Decent but slow episode. Definitely feels like shit's going to hit the fan next week. Just wanted to say, started watching FNT in 2020, and it was a gut punch hearing Az is leaving. I get why, but still sad. Hail. It's the end of an era, and he didn't want a bunch of hoopla anyway. And plus, he didn't give me any chance to give him any hoopla, which was probably planned. So we're gonna miss Az, as a friend too. He passed far too. He was too young to die this way, and his loss will be felt for a long time. But we finally have some proper British representation on Friday.
Yes, I heard.
Wait, how old is he?
As he's 70. Well, he was 75. He passed away. Yeah,
that seems old to me. That's not too young to die.
Might be my least favorite episode, says LOTR Nerd 97. Been a member for 20 months. Thank you.
If that mean for this season, maybe, but the worst episode is episode 9 from season 1.
Yeah,
it remains.
This is way better than episode 9, just because
definitely.
Yeah,
well, that one's just got some really bad stuff in it. Right now, it's more mixed to positive.
Yeah, definitely mixed. I mean, it's been a mixed bag, right, Mahler? I mean, but I still like 7 out of 10 for all of them.
It's been a mixed bag of good, I think.
Yeah,
I was going to say weighted positively, but there's still bits
weighted very positively.
I would say that we tend to spend more time on the criticisms than we do on the good things, just in general, whenever we evaluate fucking media. But like last episode, for instance, I thought some of the best scenes we've seen in the show, period, were last episode with Damon and Rhaenyra, with Otto and Aegon and Kristen.
For sure.
Some of the most standout scenes of the series were present in last week's episode. There's also like 2 scenes that were like kind of bothered me.
But they were like nothing.
Overall, but overall it was like it was a really good fucking episode last week.
That Otto scene, for one, it's really memeable. Just the looks on his face are so fucking good. Is great. And I loved Damon and Harrenhal in this episode. I fucking loved it. I love the vision. I love the werewood tree. I love this, just like what happened. He got it so easily, and now like this thing comes sideways. Like I'm having fucking visions now. Wait a minute. When did this start? Introducing a character that I like and I'm curious about because this character has some prominence later on. And the conversation Allison and Rhaenyra had was good. I laughed. It was funny, but it wasn't like cringe funny. It was like, oh shit. It's just how they got there. They've logistically made a couple of mistakes that Game of Thrones made later on in the series, but it's not anything near like making it shit to me anyway.
No way.
Now, if this pace continues and we're in episode 6 of an 8-episode series, then we're gonna have a problem. But I do not think that's the case, considering next episode. So, Gary, you're late, and Jeremy, I know, sorry. I'll take full responsibility. I always do. Here in the Steadfast, been a member for 48 months. Hail, Gary Mahler and Fringy. Hope all is well with you fine gentlemen. So, good? You guys good? I'm good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm good. I'm probably going to watch again tonight after this. I'm probably going to just go watch it again.
I'm going to watch House of Cards tonight, and I'm going to watch House of the Dragon tomorrow.
Nice. My old lady's out of town. I can stay up late.
Masturbate.
There you go. Do it King's Landing style. Get on my balcony.
Yeah, speaking of like what happens to like the small folk, you'll literally get come on by your king.
Yeah, by your king.
Just walking along. You think you have to worry about getting shit on by a bird. How about you just get a fucking spray of cum that falls down on you from the Red Keep?
They probably would interpret that as a blessing.
And they like think, oh, the mother has blessed me with one.
They might on Dragonstone if you practice the rite of the first night, like it's considered a blessing. It's like, oh, a Targaryen lord came and fucked my wife. That's awesome.
That's actually true.
Yeah, it is true.
You probably have women down there that are just trying to get pregnant with a Targaryen bastard, get set up the rest of their lives. They're like holding themselves open, trying to catch Aegon's cum because it's fallen. I can see that.
The new Kingsguard seems like frat fuckboy chuds. They seem like frat boys. Yes. Well, I mean, that's the way the Kingsguard always like it's always the tales you are told that are mostly a lie. Chaos is a ladder. Maj Dejin has been a member for 2 months. Thank you. You guys don't remember Butter's rant? He complained how all the wieners in Game of Thrones were soft and non-threatening.
Yes.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yes.
You're right. Oh.
Dude, do you remember that? I don't know if you guys saw it. I know Fringy did, but the Game of Thrones inspired episodes where Cartman just keeps taking people to a garden and talking about backstabbing other people.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. All over Xbox Ones and PlayStation 4s because that episode, that was like a decade. Dude, that was like a decade ago.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Hey, the South Park movie's in 4K now. I just found that out last night. So is Team America. Team America's in 4K. Yeah.
Gotta do EFAP movies in Team America.
Oh, dude, we have to. Like, sign me up. Minnie Galen for $5. I'm surprised it was possible to have a filler episode. I've enjoyed the last 2, but most of this episode was a waste of time. Indulgent writers.
I think you would have to accept that there were changes to the state of affairs and the characters in the episode.
Well, and so the first and second ending on some violence that is pretty significant and will have consequence. I get it. This one ends on a complete reformatting of the information for both leaders of or leaders of either side, right? Like it's important. It's going to change a lot going forward, but maybe like I'm trying to think of how it would be solved. What would we need to do to this episode to make people feel a bit better about how it's paced or about how it's sort of moving action versus talking?
Yeah, I need to add in a super sick battle sequence.
Well, the thing is, like, if it makes people feel better, maybe they should have. Maybe they should have had some of the burning of the mill shown, as a battle sequence.
I would have been fine with showing a little bit of that. Go ahead, Fringy. Sorry.
No. I understand that, and I think I agree, but I'm also fine with the way that it was too.
I haven't been bothered by it, especially now that I believe, like, especially with that little promo thing. Episode 4 looks like it's going to be, a lot of shit's going to go down.
Yep. It could. I cannot see next week's episode being ponderous or anything. I just can't.
I don't think the whole thing's going to be a fucking action scene.
No.
There's going to be some big shit that goes.
Well, that's why it matters, though, right? Because we got a whole episode of action in the Acolyte that didn't mean shit. It was just a bunch of people waving lightsabers on a set with no context. And like, we have thoroughly built this thing up. But again, it's not just this battle. Next, that's not what we're building up to. Ryan and I we discussed on our spoiler thing. We don't know where they're going to end it. And I don't think they're going to end it at that place, Ryan.
Yeah.
So
I'll bring up, like, if depending on, it feels weird to speculate. It's just because I'm probably going to say half things that are actually going to happen. But like,
that's awesome. I think you should do that because you're probably right.
There will be potential for characters killing each other in the next episode. That depending on who does what to who, how, we will be referencing shit throughout all of season 1 and these last 3 episodes. And I think the more that stuff like that happens, the more myself and others will feel, okay, yeah, those 3 episodes were necessary. I get it now. So you put it, you moved out of that, or it could be oh, well, they didn't really set that up very well, or they didn't bank on that very well. And if that's the case, so be it. It's just hard to be definitive about this right now.
Yep. Wolfsbane for $5 off topic, but I'd love to see an EFAP movies 80s fantasy arc with movies like Conan, Willow, Legend, and The Princess Bride. I'd watch all those. Add Excalibur, by the way.
Ooh.
Have you seen Excalibur?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
John Borman, fucking great movie. With Gary and Ryan, of course. I'm down.
I mean, hey, if you want to, we can set it up. We're in the middle of a different arc recording right now, but
we'll future arc is good.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we watch the Willow sequel series as well.
That's the companion piece.
On that one.
Fucking hell.
Fast talking Aussie girl for $5 Australian. Gary, I sent my first FNT super chat via Streamlabs Friday. Would love if you could read it out. Hail the fellowship. Of course I will. And thank you for the $5 Australian. You said first time super chat, and I'll do the whole thing. Watch every FNT for 2 years. Gary, though I'm an Aussie millennial, I agree with every film, TV, and book opinion you give. Wow.
Well, there might be something wrong with you then, fast talking Aussie girl.
Hey, she agrees with everything I say. Come on. You might be the most unlikely kindred spirit I've had. Tolkien forever. The Fellowship, especially Ryan, the funniest FNT panelist. You want to take back what you just said there, buddy?
Slightly, a slight walk back,
Slightly.
Yeah.
Thank you, fast talking Aussie girl. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Sam Wallace Art for $5. We really be like, come on, aren't you going to kill each other? Is it?
Why aren't you killing each other?
Why aren't you killing each other? Also, I like the scene where Lares gaslights Aegon out of doing something stupid. Yeah.
That's he's a really good manipulator.
He's fantastic. And what's going to be fun as a book reader is finding out like if we actually get this guy's motivation at some point. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get it at all because again, I don't think this is a spoiler. We don't know what the fuck it is by the time the book ends. We don't know what the guy was about at all.
I think we'll get it in this.
I think it'll be interesting.
He's a fucking warg. He's warging rats. Those are the spies. Please
I think
go with that.
I've heard that about like the potential of him. I was like, really cool if they do that because I don't think they bank on warging anywhere near enough in these shows. At least, obviously, I'm just talking about Game of Thrones. It's such a cool idea, and they don't do it enough.
Well, we've had talks of dreaming, right? But we haven't had any magic, like any supernatural stuff until this episode. Yeah. So it's been heavily insinuated because you're standing in front of werewolves. But we haven't had it yet. We might get it in the future. We don't know. Pie Guy for £5 proper money. Watched 1 through 5 of Game of Thrones recently. 3 slower setup episodes at the start of the season isn't new. and bodes well for the latter half. And Cole's new hair sucks. His Caesar haircut. I think that's just for combat. I think that's the best explanation. You guys
did
helmet on and off. And,
when getting a few people back in the day into Game of Thrones, it was sometimes difficult in the first handful of episodes. One, because they're sort of sitting there like, I don't understand which one was that, and you're like, his name is blah 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 blah. That they're like, okay. why should I care?
That's why each watch party you had to have your book person with you going, this is this person, and here's their backstory. It was very important to have.
The person I'm thinking about that I showed, and I remember how difficult that was. By the time he got to Ned Stark dying, he was glued to the fucking screen. It was like, and once you find out, because it was back when there's only one season out, he was desperate for more. You know what I mean? It's you got to hope that's kind of the way that they're building these sorts of things.
I watched the first few episodes. I was like in LA working for Technicolor, so I like watched them on their computers. Wasn't supposed to, but I did.
You get to see any of the shit. No, this would be after they already finalized it and they were okay, never mind.
No, we were looking for the pilot even back then. We were looking for the pilot episode, and like that would have been the place I probably could have found it, and it wasn't there. It just wasn't there. Ass pennies for 5 Canadian pesos. I love the costumes in the show. My only complaint is that Valerian's hair looks really fake. On some people, I think like on Damon it looks pretty good, I think. But on some people,
he's saying Valarians, meaning the black ones.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I think as I said in season 1, I would have just gone with dark hair. You could just say they're from Valeria.
I think that I'm really glad that they have Rhaena and Bela's hair like noticeably different.
Yes.
Like that is such a blessing because I can't keep the two of them straight on a good day. I mess up their names. I mess up their roles. Like I always forget. I always fuck.
Dude, the fucking Targaryen names are fucking ridiculous. Okay.
Well, yeah. Right now, the main thing for me is just the one with the dragon, the one without is essentially the difference.
Oh, Valerian. Sorry, Valerian, not Valerian. I got that wrong. Josh Kelsey has dropped 10. Walks away. It's what he does. Hail Josh. Hail Josh. Day Tripera for 5. What's ARS? Is that Argentinian? Argentinian.
Maybe.
Hey, that it might be worth more now because they got
Albanian Ruskies.
I don't say Martian pesos. Maybe it's just me, but I took the way the Kingsguard looked at Kristen as disapproval for what he ordered Eric to do. Yes.
I don't think they know about that yet, would they?
I take it as the Kingsguard is now Aegon's buddies who don't know how to be professional. Yeah. They have no respect. Yeah. That's to me what those were.
I was about to say they wouldn't know that he died yet, right?
Well, they would have heard.
But they only just been buried. Like, is that a word?
Well, they talked about it. Yeah, they talked about it at the council.
They talked about it at the meeting, didn't they?
Oh, okay. I guess they do.
Yes, they would have heard. Now, would they have cared or not? Because they're new and they're Aegon's boys, so they're like, not. Nepotism is technically supposed to be a relative, but it can be used for friends too.
Who knows if they know any details about it? Kristen literally just found out that they're part of the Kingsguard, like as he's walking through. You know what I mean? Like,
right. To the point where they're like, "Oh, I guess we should stand up now."
Yeah, I got to assume that's
Aegon's entourage.
That is a reference that supports the other of like they're not taking the celibacy seriously or even their job. That makes sense.
Sentinel Rex for $5. Isn't everyone in the world descendants of the first men? No, not on Westeros.
The Andals.
No, the Andals invaded the Rhoynar, the Andals, and the first men. Wouldn't make any sense otherwise. Are everyone else descendants of the second men? No, the first men is just a term for the first inhabitants of man of Westeros. Right before that, there was the children of the forest. So they're just the first men of Westeros. The Andals were in Essos, and so were the Rhoynar.
Yeah, they came from different places.
And both driven off by the Valerians, pretty much. And their slave trading empire of dragons and decadence. There we go. Sir Marhouse for $4.99. When Damon walked into the Great Hall, I couldn't help but think the last time he was there was probably when his brother was chosen to be king. Was he even there then?
I don't know if he was there. Well, to be honest, the old king wasn't even supposed to be there, according to the book. But I don't know if we got that hall. I don't know if we saw that actual hall in there, because that hall is massive.
I was just about to say, I feel like in the first episode we saw that hall. It was bigger, but I'd have to check.
We saw
the hall 100 hearths.
I think we saw an establishing shot of it, like when he first got there.
Maybe,
yeah. I think
with the roof cave.
There's pillars, yeah. And that question of succession, it wasn't even supposed to be Rhaenys, right? She got passed over for her son.
Yeah, Laenor. And obviously that's part of it. She was like, the reason that Laenor wasn't picked was because Rhaenys is a woman. Like that is
because
still like the point.
He was too young and she's a woman. Yes.
That was still like the overall point of him not getting chosen. But yeah, they just did a little shorthand for the series.
Yep, they did. I demand the host force Fringy to admit his opinions on ATSV's writing. Just Fringy share his opinions, no one else.
Oh my God.
What's ATSV?
Cross the Spider-Verse.
Well,
Fringy, what do you got to say for yourself?
What was it about its writing? So I can't talk about the really great animation and art direction and all that.
Yeah, apparently they wanted to talk about the writing, and we're not even allowed to talk ourselves about our opinions.
I suppose I'm just, the story's not done yet, so everything to do with the idea of like canon events and all of that, and how all of that's going to get resolved is it's kind of up in the air still,
Yeah, like, it wasn't a complete story at all.
I mean, I would happily say that it's definitely like not it's not complete in the way that like a lot of stories that are part of it, like Empire is a complete story, even though it's part of a broader trilogy. That one's definitely one that you would say like, yeah, it's complete. We had, you can see like a sort of clear 3-act structure playing out and resolution to a lot of important threads, while a few are still, obviously major ones are still there for subsequent stories, whereas and Across the Spider-Verse is definitely more of a, all right. Now, I mean, I guess I knew that when I went into it, but I know that some other people were unhappy with that. And, that's something that you can talk about in terms of aspects of the writing about Across the Spider-Verse.
We were supposed to get the next movie this year. You know that, right?
That was crazy.
That was insane, because it sounded like they barely managed to get the first one done by the time that it came out. So
people from Sony were chastising the animators.
Yeah, that was a fascinating thing to watch, honestly. Yeah. I remember that was around about the time that there was a lot of conversations about crunch in the video game industry and in the visual effects industry. And I saw so many people who I was certain, it's like, I get the impression that you've talked about crunch and how it's bad, then saying things like, well, I mean, you got to sacrifice for the art and stuff. It's like, you guys, like, how can you turn on that position so quickly because it's a movie that you like? That's crazy. But, we'll just have to see how it all...
We'll see when it comes out in 2026, maybe?
Oh, that might be optimistic.
Yeah, well, I heard it ain't done. So, cue the Salon Selectives tune as Cole enters the courtyard. Salon Selective. Man, that was like super cuts. With the... I won't say it.
Yeah, that was like he did it with his sword.
Yeah.
It didn't look great. Maybe he borrowed Aegon's dagger that he was fucking twirling around.
Yeah. Maybe he cut it with a lightsaber. I don't know. War Van Eagle TV for $4.99. Thank you very much. Mike Hill for $5 with the conversation with Aegon in the first episode. I thought Lord Foot Fetish was wanting to be Hand of the King.
Clearly the goal was getting Otto out. That's
yes.
Whether or not he wants to be Hand is yet to be seen, but Master Whisperers is a pretty good position.
Exactly.
Really
and as we've seen, Larys doesn't need to be Hand of the King to influence the king to do exactly what he wants him to do.
And sometimes having a role like Hand of the King makes it obvious to everyone that you wanted power and you're using it. Master Whisperers.
Whereas you can be, yeah, that's right. You can be in a lower position while still having an immense amount of influence, but less eyeballs on you.
Sorry to beat a dead horse, but you never mentioned a huge problem with Blood and Cheese. They're 10 times more impressive and sinister in the book. That fucking grin.
We beat that dead horse 2 weeks ago.
I was going to say we really did. Like the big conclusion was whether or not you even added more gore, you could have added a hell of a lot more of an intense, like, you know, grotesqueness to it, a disturbing nature to it. And they judging from what you guys said, they missed a bit of opportunity with that one.
And with all that being said, there was still a lot of people that were like, "That's one of the most horrifying things I've seen on TV."
Yeah.
So
you're right about that, but it's already died down. You know, we moved on talking about other things. I think it could have been the Red Wedding. People still talk about it. You know what I mean?
To start an episode,
that's what I thought we were gonna get.
Yeah, to start an episode with something that shocking, if it was done the way it was done in the book, would still be talked about right now. Like it would be all over the internet, and they pussed out straight up. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They pussed out. Still good, but major missed opportunity that I would bet there's a couple of writers on the staff going, "God damn, should have done it." Fuck the executives. Razor for what? You know what? Because the executives wouldn't be complaining if your show was being talked about for like just going nuclear on the internet, which it did not do. Razor for $1.99. Power lies where men believe it resides. Yes,
that is a Varys quote, correct?
That is a Varys quote.
And you have several characters' POVs of where power lies in Game of Thrones. It's always very fascinating. I remember, I think Littlefinger says knowledge is power, and then Cersei says power is power, which is, you know, it's straightforward. Just I have power, you don't. Fuck you. It's just straightforward.
War Van Eagle TV for $4.99. Good luck getting your deposit from 1 month's rent if you sign the 12-month lease at Harrenhal. Yeah, you're not getting your deposit back. No, you're gonna have to walk around and mark every oh, this pillar's cracked. It would take you forever. War Van Eagle TV for $1.99. Bela equals Venus Williams. That's
I think she looks a little more like Serena, but yeah.
Serena, yeah. Justin Channels, member for 10 months. Ryan meant Amandla. Also, when Ryan said Cole filling in, I thought he was going to finish with something about Allison, not duties. Duties. Well, that was same thing.
He's filling in Allison's booty.
Yeah, that's his duty. Sir Marhouse for $4.99. Danny's eggs are almost definitely from Alyssa Farman when she fled to Pentos after stealing 3 eggs. So Danny's eggs would already be in Pentos. There are many, many theories about the eggs.
And remember,
the show originally said they were from a shy.
The show can do whatever it wants, so you never know.
Yeah, it's true. There's some people that think it's from Dreamfire, right?
Dreamfire. Yes.
It's one of the theories.
But if George hits 5,000 days with the book, we'll have 5,000 more theories. So there we go.
Well, I actually on that point, somebody pointed out that the Valyrian steel armor we were talking about, that Euron wears. In that chapter, he says, quote, his armor is Valyrian steel. In all the 7 kingdoms, no man owned a suit of Valyrian steel. Such things had been known 400 years ago in the days before the Doom, but even then they would have cost a kingdom.
Yep.
Which is almost implying that no one's ever seen a fucking suit like that.
Yeah, it could be unreliable, but in that chapter, which is a sample chapter that George
has not been published yet.
It's not been published, so it can be changed. But no, it's the first time it was mentioned. It was fucking cool as hell. It's of course they would have Valyrian steel, and the fact that it would cost a kingdom makes it even more rare. And the fact that the worst human being alive owns it. Like who's ever existed in Westeros or Game of Thrones, which is saying something. I mean, worse than Maegor the Cruel, worse than fucking everybody. Euron Greyjoy molested his brothers for fun. Just a total piece of shit. And he's probably a green seer. Probably a green seer. That's a great theory. I want that one to be true, Ryan.
It's for him to have every fucking power.
Well, he was with Bloodraven, maybe a student who left.
Yeah.
A student who left, a Bran who left. Lots of hints for it. I think it would be really fucking cool, but that's just me. Mix up for $20. Davos, when learning to read in prison before he visited and pardoned by King Stannis, reads out Vhagar was the smallest of the dragons, though still large enough to swallow a whole horse.
Do you mean out of the 3 that came to Westeros?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. She's a grandma now.
Grandma. Ashton Rose for $20. Thank you for the streams. You're welcome. We love doing them. Look forward to them after the show, where Kristen and Allison were carrying on before Viserys passed. Also, I thought Dany's eggs came from Dreamfire, Helena's dragon, stolen by Alyssa Farman. That's the last theory we heard, but
have to see.
I honestly don't. I've heard many things. I've also heard that Daenerys isn't a Targaryen, so she might be a dragon seed.
I've heard that Tyrion's a secret Targaryen.
Yes. By the way, 4,738 days, Ryan, and Mahler and Fringy, since the release of A Dance with Dragons. By the way, we are coming up on the anniversary because it's July 1st, ladies and gentlemen. It's July 1st, so we are 10 days away from the anniversary, from the 12th anniversary of the release of A Dance with Dragons. Holy shit.
God damn.
Welcome to July, everybody. At least for me in Central Time Zone. Ashton Rose has gifted 5 Nerdrotic memberships. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sam Wallace art for $5. Last time Dagon got ridiculed by a relative, he conquered a Aegon.
Aemond.
Dagon, he conquered a dragon and punched a girl in the face. I mean, that's why he's Ryan's favorite character, to be honest with you. So
Aemon's cool.
Aemon's cool. Luis C for $10. Dude telling his made-up backstory is common in construction work after a couple of beers. I've worked with many of a retired CIA agent men who have served in submarines and other adventures. Yeah, dude, being in prison, I've heard a lot of dudes sit down and tell me their backstories of amazing feats. Yeah, heard it a lot.
No one in prison's ever lied before.
No, never. Absolutely.
Except all the ones that tell you they didn't do nothing.
Yeah. Never met an innocent dude in there. Brian Townsend for $10. After 13 episodes of Hot D, I'm starting to realize how incredibly lame Dany was when naming her dragons. The only thing I didn't like about this episode was the lack of rice only fans.
I like Daenerys' dragon names.
Yeah, they're named after
Aegon.
Yeah,
people that matter to her.
The unborn son, the brother, and her husband. And I think they're kind of cool variations of those names, right?
Yes, I think they are.
Meanwhile, there are some dragons. I'm trying to think of what's your favorite dragon name, if you guys got one in the show. I mean,
I kind of like Vermithor.
Vermithor
is a pretty sick name. Sea Smoke's like whatever.
Oh, Syraxis.
Caraxes is cool, but I don't know if I like his.
Sunfire was kind of
Sunfire. No, some of them are lame.
That sounds like a Sunfire, Moondancer. Those sound like generic fantasy dragon names, which is fine. You know what I mean? It sounds like shit that girls would name their fucking dragons. You know?
Balerion the Black Dread, dude.
Yeah, Balerion.
Balerion is a cool name. Oh, I like Vhagar as well.
Vhagar. It's not a name.
Problem is I always misgender Vhagar.
The cannibal. Like sheep stealer's fucking dumb, but like it makes sense. It's just on the nose. Because he steals sheep.
You know what? That was well explained.
Thank you.
Why do you think the cannibal's called the cannibal?
I think you guys are right, though. Vermithor might win, I think.
Vermithor is probably the best. Nettles, dude. Ryan.
I don't know. We're getting a lot of others.
I think
one actual black person from the books.
I know. The one person is like completely described as a black person in the book has not been introduced yet. I'm like, wow, okay, that's weird. But I think next season. So Marhouse for $4.99 for Gary and Ryan. Mahler and Fringy, close your ears. Close your ears, guys.
What, right now?
Earmuffs. Both of you.
Okay.
I can't ask if they can hear me or not.
Yeah, you can't ask if they can.
I'm just going to have to hope they can't hear me. They'll start screaming. Okay. Do you think we're getting Rook's Rest soon? Because
next episode.
Yes.
And also you should have had them close their eyes as well because Gary pulled up the super chat.
But they don't know what that is.
All right, we're good.
I probably should have said make a motion, but yeah, you got it. It's okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
Wait, am I safe to return from
You are.
Ears and all right.
Good example of a show. Don't tell. Aegon and his giggly friends find his brother in bed, and only the king laughs. Aemon is feared, and Aegon isn't. Very good.
And Aemon, I think, went to his like expected position of sort of cowering away and having to take the abuse, but then you see gradually realizes like I don't have to do it like this
anymore. He just stands up and like whips his dick right in Aegon's face.
Stands up and shows his floppy dick.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, fuck all of you. I'm
out. Bryant Townsend for $10. Thank you. I know this is redundant to say, but Matt Smith is amazing. Yeah, he's a really fucking good actor.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell that when he was playing Doctor Who. He's got a bad agent who's picked some bad roles for him, but the guy's like legit a good actor.
What do you mean? He got him that Morbius role.
I know. At least the dance was at least the dance was meme.
The dance was a good meme.
Yeah. I love the line. Need I remind you the perils of assumptions? No, it was like he delivered. Everything's delivered great, better than I can read. But like that, plus the looks on his face, just the simple looks on his face are gold. They're so
what
good.
I loved about him in the scene was he was totally ready to come in, showing off skill, risking his life, intimidating the hell out of a lord that wouldn't listen. But what he found was a very timid sort of man who's just like, hi. And then you could tell by looking at him throughout the scene, he's very, yeah, okay, you know the drill. Like this, be afraid. Address me properly.
He wanted a great conquest.
Yeah.
Right? He wanted to go out there and prove who the fuck he is and why Rhaenyra needs him and like why everybody should be looking to him and listening to him for all this shit. And instead he got a walk-in win, which win nonetheless, but not
on paper. He wanted it. He could just say, man, I slayed 100 men by myself. Nobody would fucking know. Nobody would know. Matt Smith, The Rings of Akaten for Doctor Who. Very average episode, but it's got one of the greatest Doctor Who speeches ever in it. Just watch that speech on YouTube if you want to see Matt Smith like at his fucking best, man. Okay. Also hearing Ryan complain about women is the only joy I have in life. There you go.
Better hope I don't stop.
Arya trains in front of the Harrenhal werewood in A Clash of Kings. Okay. See, I don't recall it, but it could be there. When Harren made a Harrenhal, he had a godswood. It was longer than some castles. There you go. Can't remember everything, man. Thank you, Dirt is King, for $5. I appreciate you. Of course, it wasn't supposed to be Tywin at Harrenhal. In the show.
It's what a lot of people cite as evidence that Dan and Dave weren't just parasites that worked from George's stuff. They made some cool original things when they
did in the beginning. They did.
Yeah.
There is actually some really good dialogue that they came up with on their own, but George was there with them almost every step of the way for those first 4 seasons. They had their falling out after season 4. Just
good thing this one's only going 4 seasons.
Good thing. Good thing. They're just King. Thank you very much. Manx Man for $4.99. Interesting to have a Bracken Blackwood fight where the Blackwoods are the ones portraying as dicks. Yeah, I mean, usually they're not, but we've only seen them a couple of, well, in this book, I don't know if they're not portrayed as great in this one until later, but they're definitely cooler in A Song of Ice and Fire, in the Game of Thrones books later on. Definitely cooler. Like when Jamie parlays the peace between the Blackwoods and the Brackens, and the guy just said, I was waiting to surrender. I just didn't want to surrender to that Bracken fuck. You know, I'd rather surrender to the Kingslayer. You know, they were starving. Their horses were starving. Cedre for 5 Martian pesos. If Mahler and Fringy had to bet, who do you think will win the war and why?
Who do I think will win? I mean, it's kind of funny because I just imagine it's going to reflect Game of Thrones, and so it's just like, who do you think? The question on that was who sits the throne at the end, which is kind of funny because I always thought that was a question we don't get a definitive answer to. We don't. That's not the point, right? And that's something that all the characters were supposed to learn. But never mind. In reference to this show, I see, not just because of jokes and other references, I see death everywhere, and I don't see it being glorious. I don't see one big, huge battle where, character A takes out B, takes out C, takes out D, until we're left with one person who's like, rah. I see there's a lot of mistakes getting made, which we've seen. I'm not predicting anything here. But that, there will be battles where people are going to go down in rough, gross ways. Some people get killed on the toilet, famously. You never know how everything will go down. But it just seems to me that there's not like some kind of... The White Walkers in Game of Thrones provided much more of an enemy to defeat and a goal to achieve. In this, it's like, what is the goal? It's mainly, well, we can't have peace until everybody who wants the throne is dead. Or one remains, right? And so it's like, so if the question simply is, if I believe there would be one person left, who would it be? The way these things work is it would be one of the last people I'd expect. Probably. I mean, that's kind of how he likes to write. So I don't know, really. I'm trying to figure out how to give a better answer that I have no idea how this will go.
Oh, you're right. Vagar sits the Iron Throne at the end.
Yeah,
that's what I want, but
I'd agree with a lot of what Mola said. I'm not sure what the victory parameters even look like necessarily. So like I really couldn't say, which I know is not a particularly satisfying answer, but if you ask me right now, I really don't know.
Yeah, there's no big prediction to make that's not obvious. Everyone's going to die.
Well, eventually.
In terms of like more specifics, I want Damon and Aemon to have a face-off, and I think they've done something of a build-up for that. I'm trying to think of... This is the kind of speculation I gotta be careful about because I gotta really avoid the facial expressions and chat. But it's just like, where would I see Rhaenyra's story ending? And right now, I actually have no idea. I don't know what would best suit her. What do I think would be an ironic or poetic?
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I don't think even book readers know. I think that they've changed enough stuff to where we might have an idea, but...
And also they've established that you clearly have one side that's willing to use propaganda, so even some of the things we thought we knew probably aren't right.
Yep. Which made reading the book fucking frustrating. So
yeah. Ironically, if you watch Game of Thrones already, there already are some spoilers for this story.
Yes, They've already talked about them. DJ has gifted 50 Nerdrotic memberships. Thank you, DJ. Hail. Got a membership.
That's $250 fucking dollars.
That's $250. And for your reward, you get an Acolyte episode 6 watch party this Tuesday. You're welcome. You're welcome. You get a Clarkson's Farm one soon too. That one soon. Need the palate cleanser. Mike 1010011. I don't know if that's supposed to spell something. Sorry. I'm old and poops. No, not Mike Poops. It's binary code or something. For $5. Why on earth didn't Alicent just run away screaming, Rhaenyra's here, get her? We did mention that when we were totally not watching it. It's like, just scream now. The war's over. When she was clearly outside of stabbing range. Yep.
Well, I mean, we also talked about if she's motivated to do so. I can buy that she doesn't want to do this to Rhaenyra. But, we also said there should be consequences from this. On both sides. One, Rhaenyra should recognize that Alicent did that for her when she didn't have to. And someone probably should have seen something. It's a little weird, the Septon talking to the Queen for that long.
Yep.
I think of the episode 4 preview we got, I feel like we're going to see a change in Alicent's attitude towards Aegon. Like, as much as she kind of despises all of her children in some way anyway. Like, knowing now that she did this and put him on the throne, I think she's gonna feel like extra disgusted.
Yeah, I think there's enough reason in the show to say that Alicent would not have shouted that she's here, get her, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't think that that's crazy at all.
Offer Nave for $5 says, Gary, Ryan, help. Baller's been hoarding all the Batwoman episodes for literally years and won't let any of us see them. Please intervene. IO stuff that I've been hoarding for years, so I can't.
They get 2 per year, and they're not all edited yet. I have always said if they were all finished, fully edited, I would start releasing them regularly. But for now, it's 2 per year. you know how things work on EFAP.
Ayadas Windu for 179 Indian pesos says, love from India. Googled 30 words for meanings. 30 words. I got to be careful.
From India.
From India. I sorry. I have to, you don't want to see my history. It's looking for memes and shit. It's pretty horrible. Thank you. Hail India, by the way. Craig Fragente for $49.99. FNT fan, goodbye, Az, and thanks for all the fish. So long, and thanks for all the fish. God, I hated that Hitchhiker movie. With a passion. Alan Rickman as Marvin was good casting. Everything else sucked.
Damn.
God. Well, just putting anything American in it sucked. It's just one of those things that should not have a single American thing in it, except for Eddie the shipboard computer, when you have British guys doing an American accent to make us sound fucking retarded. That's fine. But yeah, don't get me started on that Hitchhiker movie. Minnie Galen for $5. It isn't a matter of action. It is how the writers are portraying certain actions as right and wrong, and how many interactions lack reason and gravitas. Can't argue with that, really. If you're not feeling it, that's on the writer. Ryan, Disney been replacing Darth Plagueis OG cover. They've been replacing it, the Raging American, for $2.
I assume that when they do like Legends reprints, like Legends Classics or something, and they always do a new cover for them. I assume that's probably what you're talking about. But I don't know.
Is it like when they re-released Lord of or Fellowship and Two Towers and Return of the King, and they put that Rings of Power filth on the cover?
It's not that egregious,
like, okay,
but they do take like these awesome 1990s era Bantam, really cool fucking
those
art.
Those are fucking awesome.
They do that, and they like replace it with an almost AI looking, super not standoutish fucking piece of shit picture. Like that's the stuff they'll do. So I don't know exactly what he's talking about.
The covers of those books were fucking awesome, man.
They were art.
They were actual art. Toilet Bug for $5. Gary, Ryan, what the fuck? Remind the young guns The Sopranos was number one. Did the show ever number one downloaded show ever on torrents until Game of Thrones, and both shows were made by the same fucking people except D&D. Yeah, a lot of crew members crossed over. Yes, you are correct.
When did this come up?
Earlier. I don't know why I need to. They know, like Fringy and Mahler.
Me and Fringy are TV addicts. Like we've been watching TV.
Yeah, they know
around. Yeah.
So, like, and Ryan does too. Like HBO has been doing this longer, doing this prestige format TV in America longer than anybody.
Oh yeah, if anyone thought, we know HBO it goes further back than Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, HBO has gone all the way, like starting to do a lot of their original stuff in the 90s, even. Like, you know, what they're known for now, right? Of like heavily serialized, generally, you know, higher budget, what prestige television, which is funny because I feel like that term has been tainted by a lot of recent projects from the likes of Disney that are technically in that category in terms of production and budget, but not so much on the writing.
Ryan thinking that normal size dong was huge and saying Aemon is skinny while actually being ripped. Sus. Says Thrashifice. I don't know. He's skinny.
They super went out of their way, specifically the last episode, to show Aemon is like very, very.
I mean,
thin.
Ryan wasn't wrong when there's hyper popular memes portraying him as Voldemort. Like it's a thing. People know it.
Yeah, 100%. Like a change of wind would knock that guy over in real life. But like,
I assumed that the idea was that he's really vulnerable there. He's let himself be completely open, and that's why Aegon being there is a complete breach of like this one little place he's carved out for himself. Like I said, I feel like this is all building up to a decision or rather a series of decisions that Aemon is probably going to make.
Earmuffs, guys, and don't look.
All right, thumbs up when you're done.
Yep. Amos, I should have pre-read this before I popped it up. Amos, you know, be fucked up, Ryan, if I gave him a thumbs up and read it anyway.
It would be.
Amos for $9.99. Mahler casually guessing exactly what happens in the next episode, and Ryan and Nerdrotic stay straight faced. Gives me hope for the value of friendship. Yep. We're trying. Hello.
All right.
Frank the Tank 285 for $5. Well, it is modern day writers go. Dragon prom anyone. Dragon prom porn? It probably exists in some fucking weird degenerate part of the internet. Raul Ray for 40 yen. Kalki 2898 released this week. Must watch epic. Is that what kind of a movie? Where is it from? What country? What foreign country is that movie from? India?
Looks Indian.
Yeah. D Breezy for $4.99. The war is triggered because they can't come up with unique names for their children. I mean, that's a good point.
I love the fact that there are consequences to them desperately trying to be like, my kid is the next Aegon the Conqueror. Like it actually has like these ripple effects in places they would never have expected.
Yep.
Funny enough, was before this Aegon, was there obviously wasn't a King Aegon before this. This is the first time another person to ever become king. But I'm trying to remember of all the other kids that were born, how many of them were named Aegon that were just second sons or died or whatever.
Yep.
And there's not too many.
Not a ton, but they had to exist. I mean, I don't know the entire Targaryen line right now.
Well, how dare you?
Ask me when I'm more awake, and I've actually like read a book in the last, I don't know, 2 years. My memory's shit. So like if I just read the book, I'll fucking know. Boom, 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 boom. Like if I'm within a couple of months of reading the book. But then I sleep and other information hits my head, and there's only so much fucking bandwidth in there right now. Let's be real. Okay. And it's fading every day. Daneska for €5. Can I replace as? I'm not fat and bald. Well, then no. And I barely speak English. Well, that's fine. I do too. But I am black and disabled. Oh shit, you're hired. So it'll raise your ESG score. What do you say? Spells it with the $sign. Well, I got to sign up. Where's my ESG sign up, Ryan? You never got me that form.
Yeah, sorry. Check your spam folder.
Oh shit, that was it. Old Renaissance Boomer for $10. Good stream, guys. Don't have access to Hot D. If I hear spoilers, oh well, but want to eventually watch. Also curious if any of you have ever seen the movie The Mouse That Roared, Peter Sellers.
No.
I don't think I have. No, I probably should though.
I don't think so either.
I love Peter Sellers. Gone too soon. That was what back when actors died in their 50s because they drank and did a bunch of fucking drugs and just partied every fucking night and just thought it'd be fine. Hernandez, professional accounting, 305 for $5. I can't wait for the battle above. I gotta stop right there.
I don't think that means anything. You know what I mean?
Okay. The God's Eye, F you Disney for wasting so much money while you could easily done Zahn or Dark Empire trilogy. RIP as. Yep. John the Beard for 10 Chilean pesos. Crazy, sexy, cool. Thank you. Fringy thanks you because that was directed at Fringy, by the way. Loose with Jay for $5. Why is no one talking about Kathleen Kennedy essentially saying that South Park hold my beer and doubling down and put a chick in it and made her gay? I think I said it in my last 3 videos. At least 2.
To be fair, a lot of gay chicks were on the way well before South Park even said that. So
yeah, there's a lot of gay and lame chicks in the sea for that one. So lots of them. But leading into the meme, I think that has a lot to do with the vitriol and discourse and just the abject mockery of the show is because it is the personification of that meme, which is fucking hilarious. Sir Marhouse for $4.99. The obnoxious, uncritical viewer slop on Twitter hurts my head. Nothing but Rhaenyra Simpson casuals. I'm glad you guys are here for the catharsis. Oh, you're welcome. I mean, I'm sure those are all genuine people saying all that. Well, it probably is, but you know.
How do you think Millie Alcock felt to come back and be like, hey, we really want you back for season 2? She's like, what do you want me to do? I want you to sit in a chair and sew on a dead child's head and have one line.
And she was like, I'm in.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Maybe she comes back for more and they shot them all at once. Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe not. Sir Marhouse for $4.99. Wins a Winner is coming this year. It's happening. I know it. Oh, God. Cyberfrog 2 is also coming out, and Kathleen Kennedy is getting fired. You know, all those things could happen. Day Tripera. God, I've had a stroke for that one, Ryan.
I'm just letting you go.
There's a My Little Pony called Moon Dancer. Not kidding. I believe you. Sir Marhouse for $1.99. Play the new Perry Chan meme on X, please.
It's about the dick.
Can we play it?
I believe we can play it. Yeah. Hold on, I'll find it.
Yeah. And this is our last one while you look it up. John the Beard for 5 Chilean pesos. I like America. I love what America is representing. Oh, thanks. What? I mean, what part? What kind of America are you?
Yeah, what kind of American
are you? You're South American. I would say, if you mean like being the world sitcom right now, yeah, we're doing a really fucking good job. We're doing a good job.
Filming in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah.
I still think the best version of that Civil War meme is the what kind of a Star Wars fan are you?
Yeah.
It's funny because it's true. Or at least it's
so many different versions of being a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So Perry Chan, that thing was huge. House of the Dragon.
I know, just the tease of being my boy.
You gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that.
I guess we can get a little more out of it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
There you go. Thank you, Perry.
Thank you, Perry.
Didn't she like merchandise the whole
Dude,
thing?
why not? I mean,
no, of course. I think it's hilarious.
I think she get fired from her job or some shit.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, that's a shame. She could just.
I think she was like a preschool teacher.
Oh well. I mean,
as long as she ain't giving them the hawk too, like.
Well, so I was gonna say, are there rules for like
preschool
these days?
teachers aren't allowed to have sex with their significant others outside of school time?
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder how many preschool teachers are still teaching or parental rights of avoiders. Yeah. Or Zach up to graph for $2. Okay, I got to give you guys context because this was a rant from my last live stream. This is wild. I will openly admit that I'm probably on Twitter too long if some overused statement is bothering me. That being said, fuck, this is wild. I fucking hate this. It's what people say when they don't want to give an opinion on anything that they clearly have. They just want to, hey, is it this? Look at this thing.
This is crazy.
This is wild. It's like, fuck.
Yo, this is insane.
I guess that one does get grouped in with "We Are So Back" or "This Is Peak Fire, Bro." Like these sorts of things.
But this is wild. Like doesn't say anything. Like
I was actually going to say, I get what Gary's saying.
I understand. You're like, this is something. What it is to me, I'm going to leave that up to the air.
I think most of it is like, I'm not going to have an opinion on this one until people give their comments and I realize what opinion I should have. That's mostly what I think it is. So that's it's fucking no balls. That being said, I'm going to put up a Miles Morales "This is wild" tweet. I promise I will do it just to piss everybody off. But yeah, that's I went on a little rant about this is wild. No, rarely it's rarely wild.
Rarely wild.
Yeah. Okay.
Life is more boring than that. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually,
did you see a lot of people that are like engagement farming or whatever?
Yeah.
When they just like retweet something and they'd have literally nothing to add or don't know enough about something to give an opinion. Usually maybe it's political, and they'll just be like, "Whoa."
Yep.
Like
that's
retweet
the same
it.
Thing. Yeah.
It's like cool. I'm sure I've had one or two of those in my past. So it's something.
Oh, Jeremy had a couple in the last week. So
that is wild.
That is wild. This is wild.
I looked it up and she wasn't a school teacher. That was a fake story. So
okay, good.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully she still has her job wherever she is.
I hope she made $1 million off of Hawktaw. I just don't ever want to see that. Except
I like how you're saying it like it's a fucking Indian tribe.
The Hawktaw Indian tribe. It is. It is.
Yeah. Isn't that Choctaw?
Sure. Yeah. No, it's Choctaw. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's 100% Choctaw. Yeah.
The Choctaw hate the Hawktaw. They've been at each other's throats for a long time. Okay. For obvious reasons. The Squaws.
When we say Indians, they probably have a very different idea.
Oh. Well, you're the ones who fucking start. Well, not really. It was the Spanish, but whatever. They're fucking Indians. Okay. This is the last one of the night.
It's gonna just like plant that flag. They're fucking Indians.
Dude, they said fucking indigenous in Horizon. That's the only thing that took me out of it completely.
That's so stupid.
It's so fucking stupid that you have the cavalry guy going the indigenous. It's like, what? Oh,
you be calling them slurs and shit.
Like they have the Scottish guy say Aboriginal, and I'm like, okay, that checks out. That checks out. But like Injuns, that's what they would fucking say back then. Otherwise, if you like Westerns, it's worth seeing the first part of a really expensively made, epically shot first TV show. I like Horizon. I do not have to like what you have to say. Maybe I actually don't like it, but I would still fight for your right. Not anyone here to do so. There you go.
You mean you wouldn't fight for anyone here, or you wouldn't have to fight anyone here?
I don't know. I'm just reading I would still fight for your right, not anyone here to do so. If you would just said, I would still fight for your right to do so, I would have understood that more. But thank you. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I could be going over my head because I'm fucking retarded. So I'm always open to that too. Guys, thank you very much. It was really fun breaking this one down. Next week should be interesting. Should be interesting.
Yes.
I'll say that. Anything you want to tell find people what you're up to, Mahler?
What am I up to? I don't know. Acolyte coverage.
Acolyte.
We realize it's the Acolyte arc right now for EFAB. We're just trying to, we're trying to expand our horizons. Check out the people who love the show. We actually did an episode recently with Gary, where we were checking out a lot of people who seem to have you on their mind a little bit when they're thinking about the Acolyte show. The consistent theme we noticed was a lot of people who have praise for the Acolyte have to make shit up that wasn't even in it. They're talking about a story that never even happened, and
it just
I
is
appreciate
really hard
it.
to praise it. Like it seems like it's an uphill sort of struggle.
Yeah. It's a tough one, and so you have to sort of, when they talk about all the amazing things that happen in it, you're sitting there like, what scenes are you referencing? Like someone will say like, oh, this show is breaking down the nature of the Jedi and how they have their flaws and a system with holes and you're like, that's not happened. Like, what show are you talking about? But there we go. That's what we've been up to.
Pretty much.
Yeah, covering people rewriting the script or adding things to the script that weren't there. I mean, that's kind of what we were doing on FNT, dude. We're trying to make sense of this shit, okay?
Not to mention the end of that story where we found out Red Letter Media criticized Star Wars theory for not caring more about starving African children instead of Ki-Adi-Mundi. That was odd.
That was really weird.
Why are you talking about Star Wars when there's starving children in Africa? Oh, forget the fact that we made our entire channel off of ripping apart the prequels and Kirkman Trek. And...
I want to go on the record. Nobody should give a fuck about starving kids in any third world country. Like you're not going to change anything. Don't worry about it. Don't waste the time of your day. Don't even donate the money. They're just going to lose it somewhere. It's going to go to Bill Clinton or something. So if you're worried about it, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Easy as that.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm fine with trying to help him out, but the idea that I can't complain autistically about Star Wars,
no, you have to do it at the same time.
Away from
you
me.
have to be like,
this is about liberty. This is about fucking liberty.
I can walk and chew gum.
Yeah, that's right. Walk and chew bubblegum. Work in the soup kitchen and bitch about
I can both go, wow, that starving kid in Africa is really sad. And Star Wars fucking sucks. I can do both things.
That starving kid probably would be annoyed too if he knew about the Ki-Adi-Mundi shit.
Starving
kid. Look at that starving kid with one of those pot bellies from eating dirt.
You know what?
I bet he's going to die before.
As a matter of fact, why can't you give the starving kids some joy and make some good fucking Star Wars for them, Elaine? Maybe they'll forget about their hunger for a little while, okay?
At least they can fucking die in peace instead of angry at Star Wars.
Like on their deathbed, like, do you know about the Ki-Adi-Mundi thing?
We're all going to hell. You know that, right? Just wanted to point that out. I mean, I already was anyway. So, Ryan, what do you got coming up?
These starving kids, they're annoying me. Nothing. I will be on EFAP for the Acolyte for EFAP TV with these guys. Other than that, just normal shit. And I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch a TV show after this. Fringy, what do you got coming up?
Well, it's kind of in the same boat, working on Acolyte as the main thing, and then other dev stuff afterward, and then just editing Dungeon, locked away, working away, you know the deal.
Yes. All right. I don't know what I have coming up. Real BBC, Tuesday. Tomorrow, probably sleeping in a little bit.
Fair enough.
There you go. Wow. Wife's not here.
So. Well, maybe it's not fair enough. Maybe you haven't been doing that much. No, I'm sure it's fair enough.
I have some work to do, but I'm probably going to blow it off. So
look, all right.
Very good chance to get blown off. Yes.
It's important to get some sleep. I listened to an audiobook about sleep, and it scared the hell out of me about the idea of not sleeping enough. Made it sound horrible. And I like my sleep. Sleep is good.
Sleep is good. You need it when you get fucking old for sure. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to everyone who participated. Thanks to the Modrotics. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and donation. We help. That help keeps the lights on, and I can't even talk anymore. So I'm gonna go to bed. Well, no, I'm gonna watch a show and then go to bed. And I'll see you Tuesday. So thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Catch you later, everybody.